invited Peter and the boys here tonight because we think his approach to drug rehab is a very effective one. So we pray that you'll be blessed tonight, and that's all you need to hear from me. So thank you. Over to Peter.
G'day. How you going? G'day. How you going? That's it. I knew there was somebody here. Hey, I just got to warn you in advance that most people think in their brains what I say with my mouth, and I don't want to hurt anybody or be disrespectful in any way, shape or form. Please don't be offended by what I say. I am a really straight shooter. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Is that okay? Is that okay? That's it. Yeah, the granny say. That's good. I don't mean to be rude or disrespectful, but I'm honestly a straight shooter. I always take the shortest possible route to the best possible outcome. My name's Pete. I run a Shalom house, which is a residential rehabilitation centre in the Swan Valley. And we actually started by mistake. I didn't mean to start a rehab. I started a discipleship house. Who knows what discipleship means? Put your hand up. Who doesn't know? All I do is come alongside fellas or people and helping them to make right choices. And so I just come alongside a couple of fellas to try and help them to make right choices. Disciple would come alongside, and all of a sudden now I've got 72 men in my program. I'm about to go to 90. I think we've got the largest rehabilitation centre in Australia, but they've also given me a title, the strictest. Isn't that awesome? The strictest rehabilitation centre in Australia. I love it. It excites me. Now, most people think in their brains what I say with my mouth, and I hope today that when you go home today that you go home different at the end, that you will actually have an opportunity to ask questions. Probably encourage you to write in them questions down as they pop to your head so you don't forget later on. We had a bit of a pickle with the Houdegras. It broke down. We had it all going before, but it just died on us, so we're going to use a whiteboard and a texter, and you're going to get an idea of my art skills. I actually went to 16 different schools, only made grade 6 and can't even read, run and writing. And when I do, I really struggle. And especially when I do the printing, it's got these EREs and IREs, and I don't know which there goes there. And it really does my head in. And so if I put any words up on the board, don't have a crack at me if they're spelled all funny. Is that okay? That's good, because I'm not a really good speller, and I don't know how to use commas and then funny dots up the top of words. So work with me. So I didn't mean to start a rehab, but my background, now I've got my prompts, which is good. You can't see my prompts, which is even better. But my background is I spent 26 years myself in institutions and prisons. I've been sticking picks and arms since I was a little boy. I got stuck in a prison, actually, and not for committing any crimes, but just for running away from children's homes. I got stuck in a prison as a 9-year-old boy, and Mum actually was an alcoholic, and Dad ran off with a babysitter. And because of my mum's addiction, she got put in rehabilitation centres. And every time they put her in the rehabs, I used to run away. And then they'd catch me, they'd take me back again, and they'd catch me, take me back again, and then Mum would get out, and I'd go back to Mum. And she'd go back to the drink, and the same bloke that used to belt her. And there's lots of times at 3 o'clock in the morning I walk out in the lounge room after all the screaming and the yelling had stopped. One particular time I walked out in the lounge and I seen Mum sitting on the end of the lounge, and she was just bawling her eyes out, and she had her head down like this and her hands were shaking, and she just looked up sideways and her face was covered in blood. 2 black eyes, her false teeth snapped in half, and she had super glue in one hand, crying, trying to glue her teeth back together. As a little boy I used to watch a lot of this stuff. And Mum would go back in the rehab, and every time she'd get out of the rehab she just kept going back to this dude. And I remember they ended up getting me sick of me running away from these children's homes. I was actually at Parkerville Children's Home. I'd run away and they found me sleeping in the Good Samaritan bin at the Middlegate Shopping Centre as a 9-year-old. Up until then I'd never actually committed any crime. But I remember taking me up to Parky, and I walked into the Parkerville. Dad took off when I was 7. But I remember walking in the office, and when I walked in the office there's this chick sitting on the right hand side, and then my dad sitting there. And I hadn't seen him for 2 years, and I was sort of thrown off guard, because ever since he took off when I was 7, between the ages of 7 and 9, I mean, a lot of stuff happened. I was sexually abused. I stayed at a mate's house at the caravan park at the age of 8. I wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, this man was doing some stuff to me, and I couldn't tell anybody. Mum was too busy with a drink, and Dad had done a runner. And here I am, I walk in and sleep and straight, and I walk in and there's my dad sitting there, and I was sort of taken off guard, and this chick says to me, she says, Peter, you obviously don't want to be here anymore. Every time we bring you here, you just run away. You're wasting our time and our resources. And we're going to give you a choice. You can either go to Longmore Or go with your dad. And when I looked at my dad, I heard a voice and it said, he doesn't love you anymore. I remember thinking, yeah, that's right. And I said to this chick, I got a lawnmower. And they took me to Longmore at 1 o'clock in the morning, and they locked me up. They took me in there. They stripped me naked, put nick cream in my hair and some other stuff somewhere else. And then they gave me 6 comic books, and they marched me down a row of prison cells. And my heart was going 100 miles an hour. I was petrified. I'm a 9-year-old boy, and I'm getting put in a prison all because I wanted my mum and my dad. I never done nothing wrong, never hurt anybody. I was just confused. I had a lot of hurt and a lot of anger in me. They threw me in the prison cell. I jumped on the bed, grabbed a hold of my pillow, and I cried. I remember saying, if you let me out now, I'll behave, I won't run away again. All I want is my mum and my dad. And no one opened the door. I spent 3 months in that place. In that 3 months, I met a lot of other kids who had stories like mine, that mum had chosen this and dad had chosen that. And they're all like I was. But I felt I finally had a place to fitted. My last few years, from the age of 7 and 9, I didn't know where to fit it anymore. And now I had a place to call home. I felt comfortable around this mob. When they got out, I went out and got into another children's home, and I ran into some of them fellas in there. But they were doing things I'd never done before. They were breaking the houses and stealing cars and doing stuff, and I started doing what they do, and I started using drugs. I became what they call institutionalised. I spent 6 years locked up in Longmore. I'd be out for a day, back in for a month, out for a month, back in for 11 months. I literally spent 6 years in Longmore. And then I graduated to Riverbank, which is another prison for the kids between ages 16 and 18. And I spent 2 years or 18 months nearly straight in Riverbank. And then I graduated to prison. I've also done all the rounds of the prisons. My last lagging, which you call a prison term, was in 2001. I got out doing after 1 year of a 5-year sentence, and I thought to myself, I've been selling drugs and guns for a long time, I might do it for a living. So I started doing it for a living. And within 3 months, I'm selling on average 2.5 kilos of methamphetamines a day. I used to do lots of guns and 9mm, 44s, Glocks, C4 dynamite, you name it. I sort of had everything. I went really, really big, really, really quick. And when you do that sort of stuff, you actually mix with some heavy people. I used to get raided regularly. I remember one morning I got up after 16 days no sleep, and I had the helicopters over the roof. TRG come through, shotguns, bulletproof vests, and they got me done with a pounder pot and a couple of other stuff. A pounder pot, a couple of handguns, and a heap of other stuff. And I got out, and I was under pretty heavy surveillance. And a lot of freaky stuff happened around then, and I ended up getting nuked. And we might actually clarify that and get everybody on the same page before I go too much further. What I mean by nuked, I had a divine encounter. Now, I'm not here to push religion down your throat. I personally, I really can't stand it. And I'm just being straight. Who agrees they can't stand religion? Most people. So I'm not a religious fella, but I am a Christian man. There's a big difference. And I'll just say this to get us all on the same page, if that's okay. Now, for the sake of today, before I go further, just know that I'm not here to preach you. I'm not going to push religion down your throat. But to me, religion is some fella that tells me to do everything that he doesn't actually do himself. That he lies, he steals, he cheats, and he means you put cash in his pocket and yet he sleeps wherever he can and corner out to porn, and that's a religious fella. Who here has met one of them? Put your hand up. Nobody's met a religious man. Who here has put a religious man? Put your hand up. And then they got the Christianese fellas. That's what happened to me. I become Christianese. And there's nothing wrong with the Christianese fellas, but I went from 0 to 100. When I had an encounter, I'm telling you, I had the ground move, a whole heap of freaky stuff happened. And I went from 0 to 100 in half a second flat, and they ended up calling me the God botherer. And I was pushing everything I can push down any person's throat. If you're in my face, look out, here it comes. They'd see me come, and they'd go right turn, Clive, and they'd go the other direction. Christianese, it's like when you come from where I've come from, it's hallelujah, praise the Lord, and you use a lot of terminology from when you've come from. It's too hard, and you look from where I've come from, and you look at these people and think, truth, I don't want to be like that. That's too hard for me. I believe what they believe, but no, that's okay. And then you've got this other mob down here. And they're the general, I don't give a flying flopper. If it works for you, it's okay, but just not in my circle. I'm a good person. I'm not hurting anybody. You know what I'm saying? I've actually learnt more in the last 5 years running a rehab than I have in my whole life. So what I've done, I've sort of adjusted myself now. I just live the truth. I'm not a religious man, but I'm a Christian. And if you want to see my faith, you'll see it by the way that I live my life, that my actions speak louder than my words. I've played mums and dads and doctors and nurses. I've slept with prostitutes, broken houses, stole cars, mugged people. I've done a lot of things that I'm ashamed of. And I stand before you today and I say, hey, I really am. I'm sorry. I am sorry for every mistake that I've made. I've made a mistake. I love God. I love Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian man. And I love him to bits. And if you want to see my faith, you will see it by the way that I live my life. And I have no right pushing what I believe down anyone's throat. Would you agree? Now, my little friend, Dad over here, or Aunt Pan, he's going to come over here and be my whiteboard marker. So miraculously, because I don't have a projector to push an erase button, when I say erase, we're just going to keep talking, and it's going to miraculously be erased. Who reckons that's good? Give him a hand. Arn's actually one of my fellas. I met him in jail. That's another story. So I got out of prison in 2001. I actually got nuked and went into jail after I got nuked. And I'm telling you, I got nuked. And I'll tell you about getting nuked tomorrow morning, but I actually got nuked. And then he said, give up everything you own and follow me. So I went into jail, got 4 months for the 2 handguns and got out of jail, and then went to Bible college, done 3 years Bible college at Riverview. Studied 3 years at Bible college, done a Cert 4 Ministry Diploma in Theology and Advanced Diploma in Theology. Not bad for a bloke who done grade 6. I got to admit, I spent most of the time hiding at the back of there because I felt really uncomfortable. First day I walked into this church, I had this dude run up trying to give me a cuddle. I was about to pull back and crack him one. I wasn't used to blokes trying to cuddle you, I mean. And I done 3 years full-time studying there, and then when I finished there, I started a business when I got out of jail and started doing everything legit. I've been married for 27 years. Normally my wife's always with me. I met Amanda, my wife, she was a country girl, Wongan Hills, Maitland Margaret Davey. I met her at the age of 18. I was selling drugs in the pub, and she come down. She was head girl and ducks and police cadet and work experience. She just like, and then I made a bit of a pickle of her life. But I put my wife through a lot of stuff, and I tell her every day, even this morning, I got up this morning and I roll over and I look at my woman. I call her my woman. And I look at my woman and I say, man, every time I see her, it makes my heart flutter. And I think about it during the day. 27 years and what I put that woman through. Men shouldn't put a woman through like that. Well, I got a good woman. I got me a good country woman. I love her to bits. 27 years of that sort of stuff. Then when I got out, we started a business after I got out of jail. And my woman, she didn't get nuked, but all of a sudden she's seen me starting to change. She's seen my thinking starting to change, my speech started to change. She's seen my circle of friends, and she started, everything about me started to change. And she's sitting there watching on, and then she ended up copping it herself, and she got changed. So now we're both changed. Even both our kids are solid, you know. But we finished Bible college in 2004, and then I became a volunteer up at Acacia Prison. As a prison chaplain, I was up there 3 days a week voluntary, and then I was running a business to support myself. I'd done that for 5 years, and then in 2010, I felt that I was told to step out of the boat. So today I'm a full-time volunteer. I'm even running Shalom. I don't take 1 single cent from Shalom in any way, shape or form. I'm not interested in taking money from Shalom. I'm not an income, and I haven't had an income since July 2010. I do all what I do voluntary. If I look at my 26 years in prisons and institutions, a lot of us don't want to be who we are, but we don't know how to change. And there was a lot of times in my 26 years where I tried to change. I'd step out and I'd try to hang around the geeks, U-mob. And straight out, you're all a bunch of geeks. I mean that respectfully. A geek to me is a normal, productive member of society, free from the influence of drugs and substances. Now I'm a geek. I drink water and tea bags. But a lot of times when I tried to hang around the geeks, I felt like I was a weed, that I didn't belong, so I went back to where I felt comfortable. But the problem is, where I felt comfortable, they're all sticking picks in arms, smoking cones, popping pills and drinking alcohol. And so then I tried to establish myself a line up the guts. I had the fellas I grew comfortable with over here and the geeks over here, and I tried to operate in the middle, and there now and again when a problem happened, I'd duck over here. And when you've come from where I've come from and you have an addictive nature, what happens is you swap one pill for the next pill. You go, it's like a galloping horse, from the benzos to the chuff to the alcohol to speed, and you pat yourself on the back. You're not using speed, but you're getting off your face every day. So I'd done that for ages, and then when I finished in 2001, I stepped out of the boat. I actually felt I was to shut my business down and be a full-time volunteer, and so that's all I did. But I found I used to get lots of fellas kept coming my way saying, hey Pete, I need a hand to change my life. So I'd chuck him in my car, I'd take him down to mate down to Mandurah, mate Jeff Walker, and I'd dump him with Jeff. And they just kept coming. And they just kept coming. I just couldn't push them off, and they just kept coming. And then I started taking some over to Fresh Start, and I was just floating around doing my stuff. One day I remember I had a bus full, and I took 12 blokes down to Mandurah. Jeff Walker, I used to own a rehabilitation centre, or run a rehabilitation centre down there called Houses of Healing. Now he works for me full time. But I took him down there. One day I left him 6, and I brought 6 back. And then one day, 2012, I'd done that for like 2 years and just helped out wherever I could help out and do lots of men's ministry, discipling men to be men. And then I drove past his house next to Banyup Prison, and I felt to go have a look at this house, had it for sale, so I looked at it, and I thought, I had a good sized shed. Had all the bits and pieces that men want to actually, so I thought I'll have a crack at it. I own my own home, so I went in debt and bought this house, and had a mate I met who'd just come back from Teen Challenge. I got another mate I met on a bike run who's a psychiatrist. I had all the pieces to disciple men. So I thought, I'll get myself a house and I'll stick 6 fellas in it, and it'll be honky-dory. And I can watch them from a distance. Now myself, 26 years I was in institutions and prisons. Even when I wasn't in prison, I was still in prison. You can take the prisoner out of prison, but then you've got to actually get the prisoner out of the prisoner. Even when I wasn't in prison, I was still in prison. And I'm going to show you, I learned a lot of this stuff. Myself, again, I'm a qualified boilermaker, a crane driver, tiler, painter, carpenter. I've got nearly every trade there is. And the way that my brain works is by looking, you stick me in a metal shop, give me 6 welders, I do the lot. MIG, TIG, arc, you name it, in shield. Then you stick me in a carpentry shop, not a problem. You get a set of spurs and some climbing gear. I climb trees, drop trees. I pave, I do limestone work, I can do anything. And that's how my brain works. And then you stick me in a house full of 6 blokes. I thought I could just stick them in there, it'd be nice and honky-dory, easy. But it wasn't as easy as that. I realised actually I had to start putting rules in place. And I'm not a religious man, as I've said, but I love God and I love His Word. And as I apply His words to my life, and it tells me to take one day at a time, and I do take one day at a time. I got out of bed this morning, He gave me today as a gift, and I shoot it in the words I speak and the thoughts I think and the decisions I make. And I just try my best for the day. And so I had these fellas in this house, and then I just started coming alongside them. Now, a lot of us don't want to be who we are, but we don't know how to change. Now, I can go 6 or 8 different ways, but we're not going to go down the road of the rehabilitation because that's an extra presentation on Shalom. But I'm going to show you personally where you're at, and I'm going to show you a bit about addiction. I specialise in 2 things. One is I specialise in showing the person how they can change their life. And I also specialise in showing families how they can get the person to make that decision to change because they want to make the decision, not because you want them to. And often families think they're doing the right thing, but in actual fact they're doing the wrong thing. And I personally reckon sometimes families are no better than the drug addict selling them the drugs. And it's just not okay. Now, a lot of the voices that we get in our brain, they're not actually our voices, they're introduced voices. And in order for you to actually understand what I'm about to say, I actually had to give you that bit of an illustration. Now that's going to go miraculously. Now, what we're going to do, if I was to draw a circle and put a dot here and put a dot here, if this is a person's life, this is Arne's life, and this is Arne and Arne's life, and this is me. Who's more qualified to see what's happening in Arne's life? Me or Arne? Hand up for Arne. Right, nice and high. Straight nearly all you. Hands up for me. The me's have it. You're on my side. The person on the outside, because I can actually see, I can see behind you, I can see in front of you, I can see to the left of you and the right of you, and it's pretty scary, but I can actually also see inside you. I'm really good at seeing inside people. And I'll show you how and why. A lot of the thoughts that we get in our brain, this is where my drawing and my grade 6 skills come to hand. This is actually me. I had a look at myself in the mirror today with the shirt off. I was horrified. I'm getting rather chunky. Rightio. So, the second we popped out our old cheese's tummy, who doesn't know what old cheese is? Your mum. I got a lot of street saying. I got ducks, nuts, bees, knees, cooter, filthy, off the charts, all that sort of stuff. So please don't be offended. It's my slang. If you're in Africa, they speak like the Africans. If you're in the Bronx, you speak like the Bronx. It's a pretty cool word where I come from. Ducks, nuts means like platinum. It's pretty cool. The second we popped out our mum's tummy, we actually begin to be programmed. And how you're programmed is by the way that mum and dad is mum and dad in the home. You're actually being programmed. You're programmed by the way that dad loves on his wife and the way that he is with his children. You're being programmed by the way that he is in the football park with his kids. You're being programmed. As that child goes to school, the kids that he hangs around and the way the teacher teaches, he's actually being programmed. Also, as he lives life, he faces circumstances that he doesn't create. And as he faces those circumstances, he implements patterns of behaviour, ways to communicate, ways to express how he feels. He actually sets boundaries to get him to where he is today. And if they work for him, they become part of who he is. Would you agree? Would you agree? Now, depending on a person's program is depending on what you would call these two. The L and the D. Some people would call the light. Some people would call the light a higher power. Some people would call the light God. Some people would call the light. Or some people would call the light, well, I think something's up there. Depending on your program, for the sake of my illustration and us having a yarn, you call it whatever you want. Is that pretty cool? We're going to call it the light. But everybody agrees if something was up there, God was up there, a light was up there, that he would be good. I think he's good. And let's just say he is the source of everything that is good. He is love in its purest form, truth in its purest form, honesty, integrity, the Energizer battery full of life. 100% good, the source of love, the source of integrity, everything that is good. Now somebody would call the D a demon. Some call him the devil. Some call him the D. Some call him a real prickle. But everybody agrees if the D would be D and the devil would be devil, that he would be bad. Would you agree? And would you agree? Yeah. Come on, grannies, let's get there. Come on, oldies, come on. Come on, youngies, get into it. What about you over there, bro? Not hearing you. You all right? You got a head like you've been in trouble. So let's say he's bad. 100% bad. He is unforgiveness, bitterness, resentment, anger, hostility, hatred, greed. He is the source of everything that is bad. Now, when you popped out your mum's tummy, what happens is you have an angel on one side and a demon on the other side. You have a light on one side, you have a dark on the other side. You call it whatever you want, depending on what your program is. But what happens is both of these forces, what they want to do is they want to get in you. And if they can get in you, they can operate through you, but neither one can violate your free will. It's like a woodpecker on the side of the head. Shut up! You know what I'm saying? You're useless, you're no good. You're a weed, you don't belong. Who's had them thoughts? Put your hand up. And what happens is your brain, and then your heart. Your heart's your hard drive. Out of the heart flow the issues of life, or out of the heart flow the consequence of life. You're supposed to actually guard the heart because it's the wellspring of life, that the heart is deceitful beyond all measure. Out of the heart the mouth speaks. You can sit there and talk to a person. What comes out of their mouth? Truth. Where does that come? Does it come from the light? Or does it come from the dark? You know what I'm saying? These forces are really real. You're not just a fart in the wind. Where are you? Sometimes you smell for a bit and you disappear. Sorry. I'm not offending anybody, but this is the way I speak, if that's okay. I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful. I used to hate who I was. I tried to hang around all these geeks, these Christianese fellas and ladies, and I tried to be like them. I just tried. I remember one day I was just on my knees and cried. I said, God, I can't be like them. And I heard this voice, I didn't make you to be them, I made you to be you. And then I just bawled my eyes out and cried. I like who I am today. I like who I've become. I like the way that I treat my wife. I like the way that I bring up my children. I try my best to live my faith. Am I perfect? Nah, but I'm trying my best. You're not just a fart in the wind. When you croak it, you're either going to go to this dude here and you have to do this dude here. And the thing is, if the message of those mob over there, if the message that God to proclaim is actually true, it's truth, you're in a bit of a pickle, or some of you are. And if it is true, and if they just shut up and let you be in that pickle, and once you croak it, you can't come back and say, oh, well, I don't want that pickle, I want this pickle. You know what I'm saying? So you've got to have a crack at saying it, but all of us try to project what we know to be true. But the problem is we don't realise that some people, as they grow up and they live life, they've been forced to go to church, and this dude over here whispered to this dude over here, oh, if religion's like that, I don't want nothing to do with it. The brain says, yes, that's right. And you can tangibly feel that go from here to here. Unforgiveness, bitterness, resentment, anger, hostility, hatred, greed. I'm useless, I'm a weed, I don't belong, I can't be like them, they're judging me. So a man thinks in his heart, so is he. What's in you actually operates through you. And when this dude over here, and you're going to say, hey, where's this relevant to do with addiction? Well, I'm going to show you in a sec, because this is where it's at. This dude over here, Once this dude gets a couple of them in there, it makes it easier for him to actually get more in there, because when he gets the first one in there, it's easy. He whispers a thought, your brain thinks about it, it checks what you know to be true in your heart, your brain says, yes, that's right. You can feel the blooming thing go from here to here and land. And it's land, it's all truth. Depression. Well, let's call it depression, let's call it oppression. You call it what you want depending on your program. You're a weed, you're useless, you're no good. Your brain says, yes, that's right, down on one knee. And then you start all these other thoughts you've been pushing out. You're better off killing it, down on two knees. Kill yourself, you're no good for anybody. Whack, baseball back to the head. Okay, you're dead. One for the kingdom of darkness, one for the kingdom. Oh, but you're religious. Okay, well, I'll just shut up then. What the heck do you do? I'm not a religious man, I'm a Christian. He's really, really real. You're not just a fart in the wind. Is that okay? Now, addiction, methamphetamines. Now, I actually specialise in methamphetamines. Methamphetamines, people are actually smoking methamphetamines like they are cannabis. Who here, this is going to touch you, who here has smoked a few cones in the day? Put your hand up. Kids, if you've got your mum and dad here, now's a chance to catch them out. Gone are the days of doing that stuff. But they're actually smoking methamphetamines like they are cannabis. They're actually put the recipe on the internet, and every Tom, Dick and Harry's making the stuff. And the chemicals on that, my God. They're smoking it through pipes like you would a bong. But it's got claws on it. Now, you can actually class addiction in 5 categories. I'm going to show you what's happening. Who here has got somebody caught up in addiction? Put your hand up. Nice and high. Now, you can class addiction in 5 categories. You've got an A, a B, a C, a D, and an E. Now, how you would help an A is different than how you'd help a B, is different than how you'd help a C and a D. And it's different than how you'd help an E. An A is a person that's first starting off. Me, or we use Arn, you can be our example. You can stay there though. There's a young kid, he's 14. Mum and Dad are making some silly choices at home. There's a bit of confrontation happening in the house. The young 14-year-old kid's seeing stuff happening, and he's a bit confused. He goes to school, and from a distance he always used to see these cool kids hanging around, and he hanged around with his mates. And then one day this dude, when he was having a bad day, this dude says, hey bro, do you want a cone? One voice says, don't do it mate. The other one says, stuff it, go on. His brain says, yes, that's right. So he has this cone. As soon as he has this cone or this drug, he can feel the euphoria of the drug, and it sort of fixes his problem. And not only does it fix his problem, all of a sudden these cool kids accept him. He becomes one of the boys. He wakes up the next day and he doesn't say anything. The deposit has been made. A week later, the same kids come across and they say, hey, you want another cone? The conviction's not there anymore, what he done wrong. He didn't tell anybody. One voice says don't, another one says, oh, it's okay, you're not hurting anybody. His brain thinks about it. Yeah, actually I used it last week, I didn't hurt anybody, it makes me feel good, it's okay. And so he smokes the cone. He becomes a B. Now, if a person believes a lie as a truth, that lie becomes their truth. Out of the heart flow the issues of life. I'm not hurting anybody, it's okay. He can't see by his actions down the track other people are actually getting hurt. That's a B. And then all of a sudden it goes from once every now and again to every day, and it starts increasing. Families start seeing, hey, you're changing. C and a D. Hey, you're changing. So they try to tell him he's changing. He takes an attack, because when the families go and say, hey, you're changing, this voice is saying, they don't love me, they're having a crack at me, they're picking on me, they can't see, they don't understand, and all this stuff. And so the families think they're doing the right thing, but in actual fact they're doing the wrong thing by going, hey, you're changing. You can't help a C and a D. You cannot help a C and a D. The less you say is the more you say. You just got to shut up. You've got to let the process unfold. If you try to bring truth to a C and a D, you're going to push them away from you, not to you. You're going to position yourself as a person that they run from, not to. I know that I'm right. Families, they can't stand to see a person suffer the consequence of their choices, and they continually try to intervene. But the problem is, Mum says to do it this way. Dad says to do it this way. Little brother and sister. Mum, what do you got him in the home for? Unforgiveness, bitterness, resentment, anger, hostility, hatred, greed, guilt, shame. And he's starting to separate the family. We're seeing a D. You can't help but seeing a D. Now, to break free from your circumstances, you actually have, let's say, 5 choices. The first thing is the decision to change your life. Wouldn't that be great? Mum and Dad actually spend a lot of time trying to force him to make that decision to change his life. And what they don't realise, they're actually pushing him away. It's okay. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm the one that's doing the gear, not you. Stay out of it. I'm a grown person. I don't want your input. The married man or a boy at home, let's say married man, decision to change your life. This one's your wife. This one here is your mum and your dad. This one here is your brother and sister. And this one here is your grandma and grandpa. What generally happens, he will never make that decision to change his life as long as his wife continues to spare him from the consequence of his choices. The wife tries to hide the shame. She doesn't want to tell anybody what's happening because imagine what people will think of me. And they try to keep it in the darkness. And as long as you have it in the darkness, you're getting a lot more voices from this dude here. Not only here, but you're getting him here, here, here. And it causes gossip, division. Everybody's putting their 20 cents in. One person says to do it this way, another person says to do it this way. Divide, kills, destroy, desecrating families. Sooner or later, the woman, the wife, I can't leave. I can't kick him out. Imagine what people will think of me. How am I going to pay the mortgage? Who's going to look after the kids? I never thought I'd be a single mum. Sooner or later, she will come to the point she has no other choice but to kick him out. But the problem is the damage gets done, and it's really hard to fix it. And he is someone that they hit the brick wall. It always ends in a big finale. Coppers come, mum and dad are around, grandma, everyone just comes over here. Let's help out the drug addict. Oh, we've got a sick person on our hand. Hey, he is where he is because of his choices. It's lots of fun sticking those picks in your arm. It's lots of fun having that chemicals raging through your veins. It's lots of fun doing 16 days sleep. No sleep. They love it. They're having fun. But you can't understand how could you have fun, but they're actually having fun. They ends in a brick wall. They end up hitting the wall and a big finale, and then the police come around and all of a sudden he moves out and mum and dad says, oh, we can't stand to see you on the street. She finally kicks him out. She's gone. So mum and dad grab Buffhead and they bring him into the house. And he sleeps for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Why mum and dad let him sleep and cook him cake and cookies, make him tea and do all that sort of stuff that they've been doing since a little toddler. And they ring everywhere they can, ringing Fred, Ted, Ed, Jed, and old Arn over here. Hey, my son's an addict. He needs help to change his life. And how about I bring him into you because he's a cripple. He can't speak. He can't walk. He can't. Hello. They ring every Tom, Dick, and Harry trying to get him help. Why, Buffhead's sleeping in bed. I actually snore like that. My wife wears earplugs. And then after day 4, he wakes up. He has a shower. He walks out in the kitchen and says, oh, Mum, I just got to drop a phone off up the road. I'll be back in a sec. And he goes up and he disappears and he goes like a dog to the vomit and a pig to the mud. And by Mum and Dad, in their goodness and their glory, think they're doing the right thing, like letting Buffhead have a sleep. What they've done, if we had a car that's overheated, they hit the hot button, all of a sudden what you've just did, you've just rested Buffhead. And you've brought him back to a C and a D. Around and round the garden like a teddy bear. Round 2. I can sing. It's not funny, is it? Who's been there before? Put your hand up. And so now we've got round 2. Now, depending on how much cash these families have got and how green they are, a lot of them think it's actually chuff, and they say, oh, Mum, it's just chuff, but it's not chuff. Chuff doesn't ping, ping, scratch, scratch, look out the window, who's following me, psychosis, blame everybody else, stay awake for 3 days and on sleep all day. Chuff doesn't do that, I'm afraid. Oh, my son wouldn't be using meth. Not my son. And all of a sudden he goes back to the C and the D, and then what happens over a period of time? It happens again. And then when Mum actually gets wiped out, brother says, well, he'll probably listen to me. Mum says to do it this way, brother says to do it this way, cracks are starting to form. Mum and dad, they're getting angrier. So brother has a crack and you bring him into the house. You bring this person into your home and what's in him actually operates through him. And the second you actually bring him into your home, you can feel the whole atmosphere in your house change. Everything in your house changes. Tiptoe around on eggshells because buffhead's in the home. He changes the atmosphere. No respect for you. No respect for your house. Everybody wait on me. I'm the sick person. Mate, not in my place he won't be. Wife gets wiped out. Mum and dad get wiped out. Grandma gets wiped out. Brother and sister get wiped out. 20 years later, then I get them. Now, the problem is, when you go through a life of addiction, me, 26 years, the quickest way to fix a problem is to stick a pick in your arm, smoke a pipe, or pop a pill. As soon as a problem comes or confrontation comes your way, oh, fixed, I'm good. And when you do that for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you're actually formulating patterns of behaviour, ways to communicate, setting boundaries to get yourself to where you are today, and if it works for you, it becomes part of who you are. You're actually being programmed. Even now, us as people, as adults, we're actually being programmed. How you landscape a property and how you build a house, you start once you find something that works for you, it becomes part of who you are. Would you agree? So I actually specialise in getting families and getting them all together and getting them on the same page. I mean, I can show you how to help your family and your loved one, but not in the way that you want to, in the way that you need to. And it is really sad for families to actually have to observe a person willfully of their own action, of their own choice, to actually slowly destroy their life and go down that way. The worst possible scenario or worst possible outcome is they may actually die. They actually may commit suicide. They may jump in front of a truck or hang themselves from a tree or OD in the toilet. They may overdose somewhere. Worst case scenario, they actually might do that. But if you continue to spare that person from the consequence of their choices, that person will never actually learn. So you can class addiction in 5 categories: an A, a B, a C, a D, an E, and how you'd help an A is different than how you'd help a C and a D. You don't help a C and a D, run, stay away, do it differently. An E, well, that's a different story. I actually can help E's. But there's 3 types of E's. The first E, they're right happy being a drug addict. They hit the wall, ends in a big finale. Oh, it's okay, I'm just sick for a couple of days, back off, I'm alright. They have no intention of changing their life because they love the euphoria of the drug, they love the sex, they love the life that it actually brings them. The other E, he's sort of not too sure. Do I go this way or do I go that way? Sort of on the fence. Is he or isn't he ready? I mean, how many family members have I got left that I haven't wiped out for? Rehab? Nah. Mum's still there. Go to Mum. I'm not going to rehab. They won't let me smoke. Oh, they forced me to go to church. I mean, straight, what does a church teach you? Oh, honesty, integrity, kindness, compassion, gentleness, others. Oh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to be like that. Oh, okay. Oh, my goodness. And then you got these other over here, the E's. They're at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the bottom, and they're out in the ocean drowning, and their hands up and say, "Whoever grabs my height right now, man, I'm going to listen to you." And they're the E's that I want. I want them at the bottom of the bottom. But when I look at them, I actually take only 1 out of every 20 fellas. And out of the 20, I ask them some questions. I say, "Hey, bro, where you living?" I'm staying at my mum's. Oh, well, yeah, this isn't the place for you here, bro. Bugger off. Where you living? I'm staying at my granny's. Where you living? I'm staying at my brother's. He just put me up for a while. Bugger off. Where you staying? I'm couch surfing. What do you mean? Well, mum's written me off. Oh, yeah. Where's your dad? He won't have nothing to do with me. Oh, this is getting good. Where's your brother and sister? Oh, they wrote me off a long time ago. I said, where's your family? I haven't got any. Well, what do you ring me for? Because I want to change my life. I said, mate, we don't smoke here. I don't care, mate, whatever it takes. Come into my parlour, he says. Come on, brother. I'll help you change your life. How you catch them is how you keep them. But when they come to me and they say I'm living at mum's, sometimes I feel like grabbing their mothers and just chucking them in a blooming rehab. Straight out. Something they really do my head in. I got parents, right, go and rent this house, and they stick buffet in this house, and they're paying $400 a week because they can't stand to see their son on the street. So he's laying back in his air-conditioned 5-bedroom villa, whacking up, shooting up, picking off his nuts. Sweetie, why don't you just go up to him, look him in the eyes, say, I love your son, and just stick a knife up his guts and spill him open to the ground? You should be ashamed of yourself. You are no better than the drug addict selling the drugs, and you should be chucked in a blooming rehab. Parents really piss me off. You mean really, really pickle me off. Are you allowed to say piss me off as a Christian? They really do piss me off, I'm telling you, straight out. I mean, they think what they think they're doing is okay, but it's not. And they need to go to slap upside the ears. Send you a room for week's dishes. I'm being serious. So the E's, I can actually help the E's. But I want the families. What I do is I get all the families. I get the wife, the woman, and I get and even the scenario, straight to snuff. You got a married bloke with his woman, and you got a mortgage, and you got all this sort of stuff. Your mortgage is squat. Your financials or possessions are squat. By the way, means nothing. By the way, sorry. Your mortgage is squat. It means squat. It means diglio. Your house, your car, all that's materialistic rubbish. Man, I wake up every day and I roll over and I swing my leg over me woman and I look her in the eyes and there it is right there. That's what you want. I'm a 46-year-old man. Every morning I get up and I run up the corridor and I dive into bed with my boys. He's 20 and my other one's 21. And I just give him a big snug and this sweat and smelly armpit in my face. But there's the treasure right there. I run up the morning, every morning I run up the corridor and I give my boy a cuddle. And I say, I'm proud of you, son. I'm proud of the man you am. I'm proud to be in your company. That's the greatest riches. All this other stuff is just coddly pop. Coddly pop. But yet they want to hold on to the materialistic possessions over the oh my God. Now, can you be my white belt man? Hang on. So what happens is, eventually, let's just say, I'm not going to actually do that lots now, because I can get a giggle from then. If you're a new crowd, I'm going to get him running back and forwards, and I'm going to say, no, yeah. And so we'll use him as an icebreaker. Well, can you wipe it off now? That's it. Not yet, not yet. I just wanted to practice it. So what generally happens, right, and I'm dealing with families, husbands and wives, that have had 20, 30 years. 20, 30 years of marriage is gone. I've got families who have 40 years. 40 years, one a few weeks back. 40 years of marriage gone because of buffet. Now, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. 250,000 pieces. Demons, faith, truth, light, program, mum, dad, atheist, Buddhist, Muslim, monk, meth, pot. Oh my God. And you've actually got to put it, and when I get a person trying to work all this out, when I first started doing, I'm sitting there trying to work this blooming thing out. When they come to me, my fellas come to me when I started 5 years back, who can untie that thing? I don't know. But when they come to me 5 years back, I had to work that out. You stick me in a metal shop, you stick me in a carpenter shop, now you stick me with a bunch of fellas. If the goal is to show a person how to change their life, I always take the shortest possible route to the best possible outcome. The quicker I can kick their butt off my property, the better. And then you got a person who has a free will. If they come in my house and I take him in too early, and I take him in and the woman's still on the scene, the codependent stuff, I get him to a certain point in the program, and then we have family day, and the bad stuff. I'm going to tell you something. How we grow, every circumstance we face determines the choice we make, which gives us an outcome. We are where we are because of our choices. No one can change you. No one can change me. No one can change anybody except for us. All of us experience circumstances that we do and we don't create. And as we face those circumstances, we make a choice. I was where I was for 26 years because of me. Yes, I faced circumstances that I did and didn't create, but I was the one that made the choice. I was the one that had unforgiveness and bitterness and resentment towards my parents. I was the one. I have to take responsibility for my actions, and I have nobody else to blame except for me. Every decision we make has a consequence. Sometimes it actually takes a person. on the outside of the circle to show the buffhead on the inside what he can't see. Now, when you start seeing what comes out of his mouth, or the way that he treats people, or the way that he acts, does it line up with the light, or does it line up with the dark? And when you see it, how do you communicate truth to that person? How do you communicate truth to that person that person can see what you say? Because when he sees what you see, oh, I see. That moment, you know that I see? When you get truth registered in the heart, and you take that truth and take out the lie, it changes. What we should be doing when we bring my fellas in the house, we do this, and we come alongside them. We make sure that our fellas have really bad days in our house. If we got two blokes in our house that don't get on, we stick them in the same room like a pair of cats. Straight out. I try to find blokes who don't like each other, and I stick them in the same room. Quickest way to fix a problem is to stick a pick in your arm, smoke a pipe, or pop a pill. I want my fellas to have a bad day. I want them to have attitude. I want them to be grumpy. I want them to be peeved off. And when it does, it excites me. And when they have that attitude and all that hoggly pop comes to the surface, how do you get pus out of a zit? You've got to get the zit to come up. So I purposely position them where all their zits come up, and when it comes to the surface, I say to them before they come in, hey bro, if you're coming in my rehab, if you're coming to this place, you're not here to have fun. Who you are today and who you are in a week, you will be different. You're here to change your life. I don't get paid for this stuff. How I get paid is when your life changes. But who you are today and who you are in a week's time, you will be different. You got 3 ways of handling stuff here, bro. You can attack and defend, attack and defend, attack and defend. You do that, I'll grab your butt and I'll throw you out in the street. Or, when I see stuff in your life and I know that it's not right, I'm not doing it to hurt you, I'm not doing it to disrespect you, I want nothing from you, I really do care about you. But if I pull you up on something and you're not too sure, you say, Peter, I can't see what you're saying, but can you please show me a different way? Not a problem. If you're a rude, self-centered, arrogant prick, I'm going to tell you a rude, self-centered, arrogant prickle. And when I see it, I purposely position them to have a bad day. When I see it, I say, hey, bro, there it is there. You don't communicate like that. And he goes, attack and defend, we'll bugger off. Oh no, Peter, can't see what you're saying, can you show me a different way? Not a problem, bro, awesome. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, it happens again, I show them a different way. But I try to show them when it happens. When I can show it when it happens, they can see what I see, and when they see what I see, they change. There's a passage in the Bible that says, the wisdom of God is in the heart of a man and a woman, and that a person of understanding draws it out. Whether you're a Christian or non-Christian, doesn't matter where you are, that wisdom is in you. When you go to a shopping centre, you load up your trolley full of all your goodies and you walk out to the car. You grab all your bags out and you stick them in the back of the car. You throw the trolley to the side, you go to get in, and one voice says, take it back. And the other one says, nah, stuff it, they get paid for that. Which one are you going to listen to? Another one, you go in a petrol station and this chick gives you 20 bucks too much change. One voice says, yeah, scored, brother. And the other one says, give it back. We teach them how to hear the right voice, that conviction. We teach them how to hear that voice. We teach them how to hear the light. We teach them how to hear the higher power. We teach them how to hear God. We teach them to actually walk in truth. When I walk up and say, hey, bro, you're a prick, and I walk off, all of a sudden, oh, you shouldn't have spoke like that. Do I have to? Yeah, go back. Oh, sorry, bro. I just want to say I'm sorry for the way that I spoke to you. We teach them all that. When you've come from a life of addiction, the quickest way to fix a problem is to stick a pick in your arm, smoke a pipe. And when we take the substances away, because we are a cold turkey, we've got to teach them all that sort of stuff again. And often a lot of the main issues in here, because of what they put their hand to, they've always blamed everybody else for why they are like they are. They've lived life the victim. But the problem is, if a person believes with all their heart that they're right, when you know that they're wrong, how do you communicate what you know to be true without forcing your opinion down somebody? You know what they're doing is wrong. So you come from the north, you come from the south, and you come from the east. Can you wipe my board now, please? I'm getting a bit of a dry glugger. I've actually got a whiteboard in my office, and I've got this new PA, and she's about 4.5 foot tall. And the other day she tried to wipe the office. It was so funny. She'd laying up. It was just like jumping up, trying to get the top of the board. Actually, you're about the same height. So So addiction, 5 categories: A, B, C, D, E. Shortest possible route, best possible outcome. We've been going for nearly 8:05. I think we might actually call it there. Does anybody have any questions? And do I have a running mic things? Is this one here plugged in? Yep. You can be my mic man. You might want to check that mic.
You're talking a lot about men. What about females? Do you have females?
Male or female, it's the same.
Yeah, but I didn't hear you talk about females, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, but it's the same with male and females. We'll actually suffer the same.
Where you are.
At the moment, I'm only doing men.
Yeah, but...
for us to do what we're doing, right, the addict, the person who gets blind drunk, they enjoy the alcohol. I'm going to answer your question, but it's going to be a long answer. Just hold that mic. They enjoy the alcohol. The drug addict that uses a speed, they enjoy. You ask any drug addict, when you get them clean, they actually love it. When you've done that for a long period of time, it's not okay when you hit the brick wall to rock up at my organisation, your organisation, or somebody else's organisation and say, hey, you pay to fix me. Would you agree? If a person of their own choice has willfully choose to live a life of addiction willfully, and they having fun, they honestly do. You ask any addict, they have a lot of fun. Is it okay to rock up at somebody's door and say, I've finished having fun now, you pay to fix me? Is it okay? That's what's happening. Us as taxpayers are paying for this. Now, I've started a men's rehabilitation centre. I didn't mean to start a rehab soon. I'm about to step back, and I'm going to start doing... It's the same that works for women, but I've nearly finished the men. I've only been going 4 years. But it took me a lot in the last 4.5 years to develop a 5-stage process to take the prison out of the prisoner, to teach a person to lay a foundation in which to build the rest of their life off. At the moment, my focus has only been men. It will be soon women, very, very soon. We're starting going in couples, codependent, so we have couples houses. At the moment we have 22 staff, 72 men, about to go to 90. We're 100% self-funded, and we put the responsibility for the entirety of the rehabilitation of the person. But I can only do what I can with what I have. Yes, what about women? Yes, what about children? Yes, what about teenagers? I'm trying my best. Can somebody else have a crack at doing the women? Do you know what I mean? And I really appreciate your question. There is another one in South Perth called the Esther House Foundation. He's actually doing an exceptional job for women, and they have 55 girls in their care. The Esther House Foundation in South Perth. They have 55 girls in their care, and they're just building a 7-acre property up the top of Kalamunda Hill. You're still on there. But I can only do with what I have. You try doing what I'm doing, right, and with no money. And most of my staff, they work 5 days a week and they get paid for 3. And 22 staff, 72. If you picture your son or your daughter at their worst, I've actually got 72 of them. Not one, 72. We're a lot different. Our rehab, by the way, when we get our fellas in, we find out what's in them. We actually, most of the family, mum and dad are split up. So this is mum, her new boyfriend, and all their little tribe, and her mum and dad. This is dad, his wife, their kids. These two here are the kids that they've had together. Over here, his mum and dad. And we do this on every one of our fellows. We don't actually have one program. We have 72 programs because we have 72 men who have all been programmed differently. If we had one program and put everybody through the same program, 90% of it's not relevant. So you've got to actually individually for each person. Some are grade 1, some are grade 7. So we do this thing called a poplet. This is the person. Often there's anger, unforgiveness, bitterness, resentment, blames everybody else for why he's like he is. So we've got to work out what's in his hard drive. We've got to work out all the shame and work out how much damage he's done to his family. I can actually show you how to fix and bring the whole family structures back together. Over here, I get a Bay Court Vita file, and I want to find out where their finances are. When you've lived life, you've got SEC, Western Power, water, car loans, you've got all these bills all over the joint. Most of my fellows don't have a driver's license or don't own a car. They're all under fine suspension. These ones down here, We say at the 2-month stage, bro, what do you want to do with your life? What direction? What do you want to be? A boilermaker, tiler, painter, carpenter? We do that at the 2-month stage. At the 3-month stage, we've got lots and lots of employers that don't just employ our fellas, they disciple our fellas. So we spend a lot of time in the first 3 months cleaning the fella up, bringing a restoration to here, gathering all the information here, getting all this ready. And at the 3-month stage, we position each one of our fellas with 2 days' work with an employer on the same page as the rehab. We've interviewed the employer. The employer's on the same page as us. So when that employer puts one of my fellas in the workplace, he purposely puts him with somebody else that's going to be a good influence in his life. He puts him with someone that's not smoking and drinking, someone that's actually going to come alongside him and be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. And when we're getting him at the 3-month stage, we're giving him 2 days control of their life. And what we're saying to them, hey bro, put into practice what you've learnt. We can tell from the communication from the employer when they come back into the workplace, are they or aren't they putting what we've taught them in the house in place in the workplace. We can tell if the workplace is having a positive or negative effect on the person back in the house. 100% of the income that person 100% of the income that person earns in this process here, we don't take 1 single cent. It all goes to him. And what we use those funds to clear this man out of debt. Every one of our fellas, to the best of our ability, leave 100% debt free. Every one of our fellas, when they leave, they own a car or have an extraordinary driver's license and they're back on the road. Every one of our fellas with family who will work with us, all these relationships are fixed to the best of our ability. Obviously the scars aren't there, but the bitterness and the unforgiveness through my counselling team, we actually get it back out of them. By the time they leave our program at the 7 to 8 month stage, they should be at stage 3. They should be 100% off of Centrelink. We put the responsibility for the whole of the rehabilitation on the individual, and all we charge them is $300 a week. But out of that $300 a week, we've got to make everything function. That feeds them, it clothes them, it puts a roof over their head, it transports them to all the appointments, it pays for all the count, it literally does everything, and all they ever pay is $300 a week. No one can change a person except for them. My job is to provide a safe place for them to do what they need to do. My job is to put right choices before them. If you have a son or a daughter caught up in a life of addiction, your job is not to change that person. As parents, we should bring our children up in the way that they should go. We should come alongside our children. We should equip them, we should program them, we should lead by example in our home, how we are with our wife and our children, and we should program them. When they get to a certain age, they're going to say, Dad, I want to put what you've taught me into practice in my life. My son at the age of 14 says, Dad, I want to go out with mates for the weekend. Is that okay? And I says, no, it's not, son. He stuck his chest out at me. I'm like, Stroot. Never seen that before, little turkey. And I went away, and I thought to myself, Stroot. And I went down the next day, and I said, Son, I want you to sit down. And I sat my son down. And I said, Son, I want you to know, son, that I'm proud to call you my son. I'm proud of the man you are. I'm proud of the way that you treat me and your mother. I'm proud of the circle of friends. I'm proud of the way that you actually live your life. I'm really proud of you, son. I'm just proud to call you my son. Son, yesterday, son, you challenged my authority. And that's not okay. But what I do recognise, son, is what you're saying to me is, Dad, you've done a good job bringing me up to this point. But what I want to do is I want to put into practice what it is you taught me. And I said, son, from this day forward, my role in your life is going to change. From this day forward, son, I'm going to let you become a man. And I'm going to step back. I'm not going to be here for you, son, in the way that you want me to. But I am going to be here for you, son, in the way that I need to. This house here, son, this is mine and your mother's house. We worked hard for this house. We want to retire in this house. This is our home. From this day forward, son, you're a guest in this home. We want you to stay in this home, but if you want to stay in this home, son, we want love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, honesty, integrity. We want you to contribute into the atmosphere of this home, son. And as long as you can, and as long as you do, you're here. You're more than welcome. We don't want you to actually drink or smoke on the property, off the property at all. And we want us to let you know where you are when you're going out. And as long as you do, son, it's always a place for you here. Would you do that, son? He goes, yeah, Dad. Now, bring up a child in the way that they go. If you try to control your child, you're going to push them away from you, not bring them to you. When I did that, I seen that my son started making some mistakes. He'd done some stuff that he shouldn't. And when he done stuff that he shouldn't, I warned him the first time. I said, son, if you do that again, this is the consequence. Didn't do it again. What you should do, son, if you do that again, this is a consequence. When he gets to the second point, you hand the consequence over to him. And you say, son, if you're going to do it again, this is going to be the consequence next time. If it unfolds and he does it again, you got to look at the circumstances surrounding what he did. If it don't line up, give him the consequence. And you say, son, third time, if you do that once more, if you choose to use drugs, if you choose to smoke cones, if you choose to head down that road, I'm sorry, son, but this is no longer the place for you here. This is no longer the place for you here. You must kick him out of the home. Son, I love you, son. Don't do it in anger. Don't do it in bitterness. If you continue to put a roof over his head, if you continue to provide a safe place for him to do what he shouldn't, you are no better than the drug dealer selling the drugs, and you should hang your head in shame. It is not okay. Not okay. Not okay. Not okay. Not okay. May my words ring in your blooming head for the rest of your life. You are no better than the drug dealer selling the drugs. He's a grown man or a woman. He is where he is because of his choices. You can't control him any longer. Let go. Sorry to be so blunt. What are the families supposed to do? Do you want to control him? Do you want to lock him up in a prison? You've got to treat him like a cancer victim. It's sad. Enjoy him while you have him. Love him. Speak life in him. Encourage him. Do your research. Get the cards I've got over there. When he rings you up, bawling his eyes out, crying, depending on the person. The first time, for example, if you're going to bring that person to home, if you've got a drug addict, A, B, C, D, E, hits the wall, he's out of home, before you bring him into the home, sit him down. How you catch him is how you keep him. He's at the bottom of the bottom. He's crying his eyes out. He says, Mum, Dad, I need help. Before you bring him to home, you sit him down and you do what's called a memorandum of understanding. Son, if you want to come into my home, I'm more than happy for the first time, maybe the second time, but not the third time. I'm more than happy, son, to try and help you to change your life. I'm more than happy to help you to try and get off drugs, son. But if you're going to come into our home, I want to do a couple of random tests on you a week. Piss tests. It's called Drug Alert. Get them from a chemist. Tells every drug. If you want to come into this home, son, you've got to agree that you're going to do a couple of random piss tests a week. And that you've got to agree that you're not going to use drugs on or off. Oh, Mum, but I don't use them at home. On or off the property at all in any way, shape or form. On or off the property at all. Son, I don't want you to actually have contact with those fellas anymore, and I don't want you to bring certain people to my home. Son, if you're going to be living in my house, these are certain things I want you to do in the house. You don't actually belong here. We're actually going to come and try and help you out. Establish everything that you want from him or her before you bring him in the home. And then say, hey, son, if I'm going to do this for you, is there anything I can do for you in return? Get their input. 2 people. Memorandum of understanding. Put it all on a piece of paper before you bring them in the home. When you agree to that, have a look at what you agreed to and put ways that you're going to deal with what it is that you've agreed to if something goes wrong. Establish it all before you bring him in the home. If he's serious about help, you can position yourself in the way that you need to, not in the way that you want to, and it works. You can try it the first time if you want to have a crack at it. You can try it the second time, but sooner or later, he is where he is because of his choices. If you continue to go on the pattern of trying to control that person's choices, one day you will have so much anger and unforgiveness and bitterness in you that you just have to cut him off. And I'm dealing with wakes and wakes of families. But you don't have to get to that point if you do it differently. Set your boundaries. It's sad watching that person do what they do. It's sad watching them go down that hole. It's sad watching them destroy their life. It's sad. It's sad. But be there as a source of wisdom, of counsel. If they're hungry, go to Hungry Jack's and buy them a feed. Sit down with them, encourage them to make right choices. Just say, how are you, son? Oh, not bad, Mum, I'm struggling. You only know 3% of what your child's been up to. You only know not even 3%. If you knew the half of it, my God. They'll tell you whatever you want to hear to get what they want. Trust me, it's my life. And you go into my house, and look at this buffet over here, smile his head off. Aren't I right? We all know it. You ask 70 of my fellas, I'll line 70 men up here, and they'll tell you I'm 100% correct. Hey, Mr. Fun.
Yes.
We will tell you whatever you want to get what we want. We enjoy drugs. It's lots of fun. They are where they are because of their choices. That if you position yourself in the way that you know that you need to, it is sad watching that person go down the gurgler. But love on them. Set your boundaries. Don't give them your 20 cents and don't tell them what they're doing wrong, because when you tell them, oh son, you shouldn't be doing that, the D's whispering to their brain, oh, they don't love me anymore. They're always judging me. Nobody loves me. And it goes into your heart, and what's in them operates through them, and it pushes them away, not actually brings them to. I really don't want to hurt anybody here. I don't want to be disrespectful. I know that what you're going through. I deal with people who have been found hanging from a tree. I deal with people whose sons have just been found in a toilet OD'd of heroin. I deal with dads whose sons are so close to have just OD'd on prescription meds. I deal with people killed up in greylands and nutwoods. I've been killed up in greylands and nutwoods, and psych centres and loopy, and I spent 3 days once up in this roof cavity. Another time I went out 1 o'clock in the morning, had this chainsaw, and I was looping out and had this chain. I know you're up there, and I'm going to cut a tree down. And the drug, it screws with the brain. Now, if you don't position yourself and start doing what you're supposed to, you're actually going to end up one of these families. They're all just going to be splintered and smashed and shattered. That your husband is actually going to say, okay, it's him or me. You've got to come together as a group, united, of one mind, of one heart, of one purpose. What I do, I get all the families on the same page like I'm doing here now. I get the mums and the dads, the grandmas, the brothers, the whole family unit in one corner. I tell them everything I'm telling you. I equip them and I nominate one person who is strong enough to actually call the shots. Not out of emotion, not out of bitterness, not out of hard one. One person can actually be anointed, and we play chess. And we play chess. I've got 70 blokes, and most of my blokes are in this house because I actually played chess with their life. I guided their families to actually get that person to the end of themselves. I calibrated them. I got them all on the same page, so when he rings up his mum bawling in his eyes out, sorry son, I love you son, but I'm not qualified to help you. But I've done some research, these people are, and they gave him a list of numbers. And then they hung up the phone. Then he rings his grandma, come on grandma, I'm sorry son, I'm not qualified to help you. I love grannies. But these people are. And then he rang his sister, and if everybody said the same, and he's at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. Can you see what I'm saying? Change starts with the seed. Somehow, you've got to get them in a really bad place. You've got to get them in a bad place. And when they're at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom, it's what they do in that point. Whoever's hand is going to be reached out at that time, they will listen to that hand. When they come to me, I set the boundaries. It's working. Shalom House, right? Shalom House is actually working. It's working at restoring the lives of men and families in our community. It doesn't cost you, it doesn't cost the government, it doesn't cost society anything. Nothing. It puts the responsibility completely from beginning to end on the hand of the addict. Not only that, it gathers the community together to come alongside these fellas, my employers, my counsellors, my Tuesday night men's groups, my camps. I'm surrounded by lots of like-minded geeks, and of one mind, of one heart, of one purpose. We make the boundaries as big as we can, and we live like normal human beings in society. And when you live in that for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, it starts becoming your standard norm. And then I kick them out. And then they're geeks. It's one thing to catch a fish, it's another to clean a fish. So I run a faith-based rehabilitation centre. We are a Christian rehabilitation centre. We don't actually rehabilitate Christians, even though a lot of them actually need it. But we are a faith-based rehab. Now, please don't be angry at me. Please don't voice your anger or what's in your heart at me. I've come here for one reason and one reason alone, is to try and equip you to do things differently. If I can stick in your nest and stir you up to actually think differently, if you can take 2 or 3 things out of this, what I've said today, then I've done my job. I really do care about you. I don't get an income from this in any way, shape or form. I have just written a book, and everything that I say, I put in that book, because I literally run 2 phones. I'm doing 7 days a week, and I'm burning out. And I'm trying to somehow get this message out in a way that would increase the passion to change lives. I really do care about you. My family is the thief. My family is the drug addict. My family is the prostitute or the street person. My family is the criminal in jail. That's who I grew up with. That's who I feel comfortable around. A lot of us, we don't want to be who we are, but we don't know how to change. What's in us is operating through us. What's in us is trapping us in a culture that we don't want to be in. Everybody says, stick him in jail, stick him in jail, stick him in jail. But what you don't realise, you're actually making them worse. You put them in that environment and their thinking is changing. They live in there 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and they're coming out just as bad as they were. And not only that, you've just made them a whole heap of connections and they get smarter. It's not the answer. Prison is not the answer. For some it is the answer. For some actually have to be there. But there's a lot of wheat getting caught up amongst the chaff. Is there any more questions? You did the mic thing, Arne. Just stick it like, swallow it like this.
Yeah. There's a government a thing going on now about smokers and asking people trying to give up, not to be around them. Does that work the same with people on meth? I mean, if they come get themselves, like your people have got themselves clean and they go back out in the society, if they get stuck with the wrong crowd again, do they fall away again? Or
if a person has an addictive nature, they say that we have an 80% plus success rate. I take 1 out of every 20 people that ring me, depending on where they are. Some of the people have been in our facility in the last 3 months and go really good. But the problem is you can't violate a person's free will. Most people who use drugs justify, well, I'm not using methamphetamines anymore. I'm just smoking cones. I'm not smoking cones anymore. I'm just drinking alcohol. And so to what level of success and what would you call that? For us, we're no smoking. For us, if you have an addictive nature, you can't swap one drug for another drug. Governments are actually taking them off an illegal drug and putting them on a legal drug. They have to steal to get the heroin, but if we chain them to a chemist, they'll just lose their teeth and slowly kill themselves. But at least it fixes our problem. We're a cold turkey detox. We don't give them any drugs in any way, shape or form. Some of our fellas come in from $2,000 a day of heroin and they're sick and they throw up and they don't sleep for 2 or 3 weeks. But we say, hey, learn from it, don't do it again. And I'm not qualified to call about the government stuff, only what's within Shalom. Did I not answer your question?
No, well...
So slightly different?
Not my circumstances, no.
What's your circumstance?
Oh, well, I told my son I didn't want him in the house because he lost respect. And as far as I know, well, as you said, we only know a small percentage. At least at one stage, he wasn't taking meth. But when he left, whether he started taking it again on his own accord or the people he associated with, he took it up again. So for a while there, he was clean. I think he was. But then he took it up again because of the people he associates with.
But if I had 7, and if honestly I should actually do this, I should get all my fellas up here, and I should actually get the parents to have a truth and tell, where every question you ask my fellas, they will tell you the 100% truth. People who are smoking methamphetamines, if you've got a person who's caught up on meth, just do a piss test. Just do a piss test. It costs you $60. You get 5 paddles in it, and it shows you every drug in the system. Get it right from the beginning. If you can give me a piss test, I'll always help your son. If he can give a clean piss test, always help him. But if he can't, just start with a piss test. I'm trying to beat a bunch of... The best tool I can give you today is a piss test kit. You're dealing with a drug addict. We all lie. We'll tell you whatever you want to hear.
So say someone hits rock bottom and they want to come into your house, what's the waiting period?
Haven't you watched the news? You haven't watched the news. I'm in a bit of a pickle. Now, I got one house that's got 36 people in it. I got beds in the lounge room. It was full. A person comes to me, 1 out of every 20. Oh, Struth, where am I going to put him? Get another house. I got another house with 24 in it. I got beds in the lounge room. I got another house with 14 in it. I'm about to go to another house with 20. I'm about to go to 90. I will never, ever, ever, ever turn anybody away in any way, shape or form, and I will always have a bed. I have one case in the Supreme Court, I have 2 in the State Administrative Tribunal, I've got another one about to go through, and then I've got another one to go through. I obey the laws of our land to the best of my ability, but I think the government have got it all wrong. And their policies and procedures, we can't do what needs to be done in order to change a person's life. We've written ourselves in a corner and it's pathetic. And I will always have a bed for your son or your daughter, always. I mean, we have married couples now. We have a bloke come in, we bring him in for 3 months, and then we bring the wife in 3 months later, and we put them in a house and we come alongside them as a couple so they can restore the relationship with their children and the mum and dad. And we will always have a bed, and if I have to get in trouble for it, that's okay. We don't have a waiting list, by the way. So, our government, myself and my wife, she actually works to support me. Our government has set this thing up called Centrelink that shouldn't be taken advantage of or abused, but it is generally set up as a thing for people in short term, and I emphasise the word short-term crisis. It's not something that you should live your life off. I shouldn't have to actually support you. So the government has been set up, Centrelink, for people in crisis for short term. When our fellows come in, we say to the parents, it costs you $700 to get into this place. This is the 0 mark. And we get the mum there and we say, hey, right, and I give them the speech that you've just got. And I said, if you're serious about changing your life, and the parents definitely hear the spill, it's going to cost you 2 weeks rent advance to get in here. Have you or haven't got that $700? And he goes, well, I haven't, but the mum has. But mum don't want to pay anything. Well, I've got a ship and I've got 60 men, 70 men, 150 men, and we're going from here to China. And the reality is some people are actually going to die. And I'm not going to put those in my boat unless you can row your boat. So I have mum sitting there and I have son sitting there. And I say, hey, I want 2 weeks rent in advance. And if you pay me 2 weeks rent in advance, Centrelink actually cover you. You get $620 with rent assistance. And at the 3 month stage, when you start in 2 weeks, 2 days paid work, 100% of the income goes to you. If your mum or your dad or your brother, your sister, your dog or your frog has to sponsor you this $700 to get in there, at the 3 month stage, we will actually pay that person back the $700 because we want to make sure that that person pays for rehabilitation. By the time it gets to the 3 month stage, it's actually here. And us as an organisation have to carry that person for that period of time. But it's not my responsibility for that person. That family, you can take some ownership of this because he is where he is because some of the decisions that you made. You need to have some portion of responsibility here. Share the load. I can't help everybody. If you ain't got the $700, bro, you can't come in, I'm sorry. Now and again, if a bloke hasn't got any family, well, that's different. I take him in. We get all of our fellas off of Centrelink completely within 7 to 8 months. That's what Centrelink's set up for, people in short-term crisis. It's not something to be used and abused. It's the person is where he is because of his choices. And we just show them right from the day dot. From the second they come in our place until the second they leave. Who pays for their rehab? They do. Right from beginning to end. It doesn't cost anybody anything. And it causes the society and everybody not have to spend a single cent. Just shake his hand, say you're doing well, come on son. A community effort. Coming together of one mind, of one heart, of one purpose. The drug addict, we have lots of fun doing what we're doing. We enjoy it. Well, if you enjoy it, there's a consequence. If you continue to spare them from the consequence of the choices, they won't learn.
When there are small children involved, there's a number of families in Collie where the grandparents are looking after the tiny tots because the parents can't. It's fine putting in the boundaries and giving them 3 chances, but what happens when the kids want to see their parents or vice versa? As a grandparent, how can you say no?
They are where they are because of their choices. Every decision that they make has a consequence.
But you're talking about little tiny ones that don't understand that.
Okay, well, how about you stick them with a drug addict that's going to swear, lie, steal, cheat, gossip, backstab, and help their program to be skewiffy? You can do that, or you can provide a safe place where good talking and good atmosphere and kind thinking and all that is in place. You are where you are because your choices. If that person can't be a good, productive influence in that person's life and that person actually working against personally, I think it is okay to set boundaries. If you want to use that, you shouldn't be actually seeing these children. You shouldn't be seeing these children. And if the family find it really hard, if this is grandma here, and this is the parents here, well, let's say grandma here, how about sticking Relationships Australia in the guts? How about sticking a Department of Child Protection in the guts? Establish the boundaries. You want to be an idiot, you want to use that drugs, this is the consequence. Those children are saying, please protect me. They're saying, please help me to be programmed properly. Please care for me. Even though they don't understand now, they'll understand later. My grandma actually intervened on our lives. There's 5 in my family. I'm the second oldest. My grandma took my 2 brothers and my sister. My older sister went with the best friend. Me, being the older boy, there wasn't enough room at grandma's. I got put in institutions and children's homes. My brothers and my sister turned out well. My grandma intervened. Them children don't have a say who they're surrounded by. If there's a sane one, please get off your bum and help them children. We'll come back to you in a second.
I just want to clarify a couple of things, because in this town of Collie, we've got methamphetamine users in abundance, to say the least. And they seem to have a culture within a culture that what you're saying is they've got to reach the E level, and until that time, there's nothing you can do for them whatsoever. So what my thoughts
You can with an A and a B, you definitely can't with a C and a D.
Yeah, so what my thoughts are here is when they reach the E, it's no good trying to counsel them or to guide them while they're still going home to the environment. You've got to take them out into a situation like you've got with Shalom, to be isolated from the situation itself.
Not just the isolation of the situation itself. It's really sad. Methamphetamines, more than any other drug, and I can't emphasise, methamphetamines more than any other drug, it is deadly. It is off the charts deadly. You want to really battle it, I think unless something miraculous happens, unless you can get your whole town together in one place and get everybody on the same page, and all of you stand as a group united, if any person in our house, this is how we're going to handle it. And the person who's been chucked out on the gutter, you've got to have somewhere where we're going to put them. Every rehabilitation centre across Perth has a 3 to 6 month waiting list. I mean, and now they're saying they're about to make the problem 100-fold worse. Mandatory rehabilitation for any person caught over a gram. Most drug users, or 10 grams, most drug users are like that. Every drug user is a drug dealer. You've got an epidemic on your hands, and you're only seeing a pinhead. You have genuinely and sincerely got an epidemic on your hands. And it's not just affecting the person. You can see what it does to the whole family structure, and everybody's just focused on the poor, pitiful addicts. They don't realise that mum and dad's 40 years of relationship's gone. They don't realise that brother and sister don't want nothing to do with each other anymore. They don't realise that brother and sister doesn't want to even know mum anymore, because mum won't give up. And it's a plague. You ain't seen nothing yet.
We've had situations where addicts have got to the stage of suicide, and because they've come and said that this is what the problem is, you take them to the local doctor. He says, right, okay, they've got to go down to mental health. They fill them full of drugs.
Seroquel.
They send them back.
Seroquel, lithium, mood stabilizer. They don't know what to do. They're doing what they've done with the heroin addicts. They fill them with the chain them to a chemist, and they're making the problem worse. You're taking them off one drug and you're putting them on another. Some of the stuff that I do at Shalom, I might actually get in trouble. Every one of my fellas, I have them coming in hearing voices. I have them in that someone's following me. I have them in paranoia, schizophrenia. I have them in lithium, Zyprexa, olanzapine, and bipolar. I've had them in ejections. I've had them in everything. When I bring them in, I take them off of everything. Oh, but that's dangerous. Yeah, well, if I don't take the blanket off, I can't see what's inside them, for crying out loud. So I've got to actually take the blanket off. Some people actually do need medication, but I'm not going to give you what you want. I'm going to give you what you need. I've got blokes in my house can go to any doctor and they can get everything they want because I know what they need. I've got blokes in my house that actually research drugs. I mean, it's just like, man, you're dealing with a drug addict and you're all a bunch of geeks. You wouldn't have a clue. I don't mean to be rude, but they know what they're doing. I mean, and when you have an addictive nature, they're looking for the chemical or the substance. I've sat in hundreds of psychs and counsellors over my life. My God. You've got to take the blanket off. So we bring all our fellows in within normally, except for Buffett over there. Normally we send them into the doctor and we get the doctor to have a look. This one's got to go over to a psych. And the reason we send him to the psych, and we want actually a psych's piece of paper that says, hey, yep, we support him here, just to cover our bums, and we bring him in and we come alongside him. Now we watch him. We have a team of counsellors Monday to Sunday, 7 days a week, coming alongside our fellows, and when the stuff comes to the surface, we watch, we observe, we document in our brains, not on pieces of paper like everyone else does, and we put our little notes there in our brains, not on paper. We don't keep notes. And if we see a person that we think that genuinely and sincerely actually needs medication, my psych is a really good psych. But a psych, when he sees a person, if you live in this environment and my psych asks you a heap of questions, depending on what he sees, because of what he's been written into, because of his policies and procedures in his little notebook that constrains him to who he is bound, if he doesn't do certain things with that person, they're going to take him to the cleaners. He's bound by who he is. He has no other choice except to dope him up and drug him up. He's got to do it. Otherwise he gets shot. So he'll ask a whole heap of questions, judging where he's going to be staying, and he'll give a prescription based upon where he's staying. But I take it to my psych, he asks them the questions, and he knows where he's staying over here. It's no worries, Pete, I got your back. Send him to rehab. We're not going to give them what they want, we're going to give them what they need. And you ask my psych, he is blown away by the results. We've got blokes in my house that use a 600 milligram Seroquel, and we used to walk around bombing and can't speak, and now they can see clearly, they've got no chemicals in their mouth, they're getting up, and they're not on any drugs in any way, shape or form. He's off the charts. Take the blanket off, see what's underneath, deal with a lot of the stuff that's in here, that's in the heart, pick up all the little thingamajiggies again, come alongside them, disciple them. I run a discipleship house, I don't run a rehab. I just disciple men to be men. I come alongside outside the circle, help them see what they can't see. But unfortunately, people want to call it a rehab. But when you put the word to the rehab, all of a sudden now I've got community groups like you want to shut me down. Oh, you got a rehab, can't have it next to me. Policy such and such says, oh my God, this is dumb, I had in. We've got this big squiggly line and it's just like... Any other questions? Technology. On the seventh day, God created the Apple product, then he rested. Yep, we shut all technology. See, me, I'm a married man. I've put my hands to, I've played mums and dads with my sister, doctors and nurses, I've slept with prostitutes, I've done lots and lots of stuff. When you watch that TV, you're actually being programmed. Size 8, 36, double D, absolutely filthy. That's what the brain says. You're watching that stuff. It's putting in your brain. And when you see certain stuff, it goes from your head to your heart. And you got these voices in your head, but I don't want to think like that. I love my wife. She's my woman. She's my princess. She's the jewel in my heart. Me, I don't own a TV. Got rid of the bummer thing. Got rid of the TV, got rid of the newspapers, got rid of the magazines. I don't tolerate talking about drugs, crime, or women when I'm around to the best of my ability. We try to clean the atmosphere completely. Because we want the fellas to focus on love and honesty and integrity and truth and kindness. And if I go up to him and be rude and walk off, and he comes up to me later on, Peter, you offended me. Well, I didn't offend you, bro. What's your problem? No, hang on. What is really real for him, if it's real for him, it needs to be real for me. Well, I really want to say I didn't mean to make you feel that way. I don't want to say I'm sorry. You'll get that throughout my whole house. My fellas, I take my bus, 57 men. I pull up to a supermarket and I take them in shopping on a Sunday. I get the shopping centre tracking me down. Who was that come in my shop? 57 men. I've never met a busload of 57 men who have been so kind and courteous and others focused in all my life. My fellas, we live what we believe. I treat them. I don't have a none. I'm a strict fella. You're here to change your life. You'll see it. You meet them. The equality, you shake these fellas over here. My nunga mate over here, he's a duck's nuts. He's bee's knees. Oh, Willem. Actually, we can put you up in here. You come up here for a second. Where's this testimony? Bring it with you. Oh, no. I go, well, you sit down then. Where's who wants to hear a testimony? Andrew, where are you? There we are, you got one. This is Andrew. Come in, how long you been in? 2.5 months.
Hello, my name's Andrew Howard.
Follow the mic.
Yeah, righto. I come from a family of 5, mum, dad, myself and 2 younger brothers. About the age of 11 or 12, my parents were arguing a lot and separated. Dad moved out and they divorced. During this time I started drinking out of the liquor cabinet and stealing cigarettes as often as I could. The family home was sold, we moved to another suburb and changed schools, etc. I found it hard to fit in, so I wagged a lot of school and began to get drunk more often. Halfway through year 8, I had a mental breakdown which was never properly treated. I began having thoughts of self-harm and developed a strong interest in the occult, as well as my desire to get drunk as often as possible. I hated school, and as my teenage years went on, I had part-time jobs which enabled me to drink more often. I was also smoking pot. I began to study, believe and practice witchcraft. I had no interest in God and was filled with anger and constantly getting arrested. I started full-time work and left home at 17. I was drinking regularly, smoking pot and taking other drugs. I lost my licence after 6 months and was constantly in trouble with the police. My girlfriend got pregnant, and at the age 19, my twin daughters were born. This should have changed my life, but my addiction to alcohol always came first. Then around this time, my 4-year-old sister was cruelly taken by brain cancer. I struggled with this. How could God let this happen? At age 21, my 3rd daughter was born. I was still a selfish alcoholic, and not long after this, the girl's mum and I separated. I was devastated and tried taking my own life, but I was saved by a passerby who I've never met. I wound up living with a fellow alcoholic. My drinking was heavier than ever, and my negative attitude towards society was fueled by my belief in witchcraft. Around the early 90s, I met my second wife, who accepted me as I was. Also at this time, I found out that one of my brothers had committed suicide. I struggled with this as well. We built a house, and by 1999, my first son was born. 2 years later, my second son was born. My drinking was so bad, I lost my job of 7 years. We were separated and lost the house, which had to be sold. I moved out and worked labour hire. On top of my alcoholism, I developed a 3-year meth addiction, which I eventually overcame. The boy's mum and I reconciled and lived together for another 9 years. I was still a very heavy drinker, but managed to hide it a lot. In 2014, we separated for good. At this point, I'd had enough and became suicidal, which resulted in 5 separate admissions to the mental health wards, lasting 4.5 months. It was at this time that I was introduced to Christianity by one of my daughters, and I was determined to try and find God. I was rebaptised in 2015, but I was still addicted to alcohol as well as prescription medications. I lasted 2 more years before my mental, physical and spiritual health hit rock bottom. At this time, 2 of my daughters and their mum came to me and convinced me to come to Shalom House. The best decision I've ever made. I am now sober and no longer take prescription medications. In the past 2.5 months, I've come closer to God than I ever thought possible through faith in Jesus Christ. Thank you, Shalom. Thank you.
Do you want me to get these 3 up here now? I want to ask them a question. Oh, go on then. This is William. How long have you been with us?
I've been here for like 6 months now.
Jump up on stage. Michael?
I'm Nick. I'm 23 and I've been here 3 weeks today.
Jump up there. And Arn?
6 months.
So this is sort of unscheduled. But as an addict, these fellas will tell you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And they won't tell me what I want to hear, but they'll tell you what you need to hear. They won't lie to you. I promise you that will not lie to you. I don't mind if they disagree with everything I say. I don't mind they argue. What we do teach at Shalom is actually we discuss until we can come to a point we agree on truth. It's truth, it's truth. We just want truth here. Whole truth and nothing but the truth. Who would like to ask the first question?
I just can't get my head around. I mean, I can understand you smoking a bit of pot. It's only a plant. But with this meth and drugs like that, it's poison. I just can't get my head around. If you go to a hardware store and you see a poison bottle, you don't just swig it. Your brain tells you it's poison. What makes you start an addiction? This addiction?
Well,
Put it, you got, bro.
sorry, I'm just a bit nervous. Well, for me, I went through a lot of problems as a child in the house and with my family, and that led to just not caring anymore. I just wanted to escape from it all. I wanted to try new things, and I guess that's where I started cigarettes.
Never hurt you or not?
I got to that point, yeah. That's for me, yeah.
Who here drinks alcohol? Put your hand up. Do you care whether it hurts you or not? Who here smokes cigarettes? Do you care whether it hurts you or not? It's the same thing. When you smoke the meth, it gives you the same kick as alcohol. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. And you'll find that he swapped his 7-year meth addiction and he went to alcohol. It's exactly the same. As long as he got a kick, he was okay. They swapped the meth to the chuff to the alcohol to the benzos. And that's why the government, we're putting them on benzos and drugs, because at least it puts a blanket on them, shuts them up, and they can just live life. They still get high. But it's a legal addiction, not an illegal addiction. It doesn't actually cause you to break in houses because you just get a prescription for it. Anyone else got a question?
Yeah, fellas. One of the things that I've seen around the place is that with each addict, there's been no love in their lives. In fact, what I'm seeing is that they don't even know what love is. And it's a progression from that in a search for love. Is that making sense to you guys?
Well, for me, it was the drug became my life, basically. So I just didn't care about anybody else but the drug itself. So I didn't care what anybody thought. I just did what I had to do to get what I wanted. You know? So yeah, I really did not care. It says that like the drug is so powerful that like when you have kids afterwards, the feeling, the euphoric feeling of having children is less intense than the drug itself. So you can have kids afterwards and you won't feel the love for them the same way that you did for the drug. You know?
And speaking of love, a lot of us don't realise what you got until you haven't got it. You take it for granted. You wake up next to your wife, and you got your wife next to you, and your children in bed, and then one day when they're not there, all of a sudden love matters. You don't realise what you got until all the fingers, until mum and dad and everybody makes a stand. What you're doing is not okay. And when actually everybody makes a stand, then you realise, hang on a second, love matters. You got to make a stand. Anybody else?
How you going? Just a two-part question. It's one, how do you combat the craving to go back to it? And how often is that craving?
This is good hearing you fellas answer this. Come on. We've never done this before at Shalom, putting our fellas up there like that. But we're going to be doing it from now on.
Put on the spot. Well, you see, even though I got off the drug for a while, and that thoughts sometimes try to come back in, and it's just what I do at a time. You know, do I, just keep thinking about it and become an action, or I just, get rid of it? And that's the time. That's when I learn how to get rid of it. Is when I start coming to Shalom and I start resisting the other thoughts. Which does come back in, because as a drug addict, that's what we start off with the thoughts. And same as cigarette, when you don't have it, you start wanting it. Same as alcohol, same thing. So anything is you start with thoughts.
Who here was a smoker? Put your hand up. Who here is a quit? Who here found it hard? Put your hand up. Same struggle.
maybe one of the guys in the middle. So,
On the phone, one of the guys in the middle.
so what's given you the victory?
What do you mean by choosing to go to Shalom?
No, now you're there. What's going to keep you straight?
This man, yeah. No, just wanting to change, I guess. I just remember my life before I came to Shalom in the last 5 years. It's been for me the worst of it, and if I have a bad day, I'm thinking about leaving, I just automatically, my brain tells me just to remember why I'm here. And I think about everything I've gone through, and I think, no, I don't want to go through that again. I'm staying.
Yeah, the same reason is I came in and I did believe about God. I thought he was out there, but I didn't think he actually had the love for me, I just went through everyday life, just kept going, and just thought he loved me. And when I came in and I just thought, it's just a Christian rehab, And then one day I just I fell to my knees in the church while we was praising and worship, and I fell to my knees and I just started bursting out in tears, and I was sobbing and crying. And I don't cry as much as I did, I never used to cry. And I just dropped to my knees and just started crying, just not in tears, curled up in a ball, and it's just so unexplainable. And I just want that feeling back, because I have an addictive nature, and the feeling of God surpassed the feeling of meth coursing through my veins, and it just, I want that feeling back. And I just kept pursuing it, and then Pete's just guided me along the road, and I'm extremely thankful for that, man. Yeah, and that's basically why I'm here.
Anybody else? Okay, I've missed this lady over here because I've bypassed her. I'm going to come at you and then I'll kick the fellas off the stage. You got it.
What got you guys past the three? What was it? The E, the first one, loving the drug, to where you are now, like when you first came in.
When I first came into the program.
Like, what changed for you? If you were an E and you loved the drug, you loved the lifestyle. Yeah. What changed in your life to get you to that third E where you wanted help?
Yeah, there was multiple things that happened. Things just started falling apart, and my missus left me. My family wanted nothing from me. My dad chased me down the road with a hammer, wanting to kill me, and all this stuff started happening. There's all this bad stuff, and I had nowhere else to go. I was on the street. I was eating out of bins, and I was just homeless. I had nothing at all. And that feeling of love and acceptance from Shalom House, and I found all my brothers, basically. I found people came up from the exact same background, and they know where I've been and what I've went through. And I found a place of belonging. I found family, Just like Peter says, my family was a drug addict. My family was a gang member. My family was, the violent criminal. And I just fitted straight in, and all these men were changing their lives, and I just, whoa.
Picture looking down, right now, if you picture, we can go up 60 metres up and we look down on all you mob, and I'm looking from the top looking down, and we got smokers, we got people who have 6 beers a night and they think that's okay, we've got people over here that do that, and all these people, all you think you're okay because your actions aren't hurting anybody else. They think their actions aren't hurting anybody else. They can't see that I'm the one that's sticking and picking them up, I'm the one that's smoking the cones, and they genuinely and sincerely can't see the way it could damage it. They can't. And so when you're looking down at the top, I'm looking down at the top, and there's yellow and green and blue and orange and pink and purple, but the yellow ones, they want to change. The orange ones, And so I've got to look, and I've got to try and find the yellow ones who are ready to change. If the families work with me, do the right thing, not what they want to, but what they need to, they can actually cause their loved one to go yellow. And it's like William, he had to go to the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. And then it brought him to a place where all of a sudden he needed love. And then he put his hand up, and we just plucked him out, and we put him over here. But if you pluck him out and put him over here with a bunch of you geeks, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing, shut up. You got no idea. You think you're doing the right thing, spitting out all your wisdom and all your knowledge, but what you don't realise, it's not what they really want to hear. It's not what they need to hear right now. So I pluck them out and I stick them with a whole bunch of addicts that aren't doing that anymore. We're all holding our head up high. We're doing the best we can be. No judgment, no criticism. Yeah, I know I've done all wrong. And just for a season we can actually go and fix the biggers up. You'll see the program. That's a conversation for a different day. If you head down the program, the whole program, it's 5 stages to the program. And it has all the support, has everything. It gets to the person with the point the foundation is laid.
I think there's a lot of people here tonight that have a loved one that is affected by drug or alcohol abuse. So as former or recovering addicts, what would be your number one piece of advice to the loved ones of people who are struggling from addiction? Like, what's the one thing that you wish maybe one of your loved ones had done or said to you to help you?
Well, for me, my mum, she's been trying many years. She asked me straight in my face, are you using drug? And I just lie straight into her face. I say, no, I'm not using it. And she went into my room when I'm not at home.
One sec. Can you go from person to person to person? I'm just going to go Dunny.
Yes, so what happened is when I'm not at home, she actually go into my room and look into my cupboards and where high all my stuff is. And I come home and she just have this, very calm face and ask me, and I just lie. And so basically, what you ask is how.
What would be your advice? What should your mum have done in that situation?
Well, my mum tried every avenue. Like, she called, all these people that she know, try to get me to stop doing what I'm doing, but it didn't work. They just pushing me further away, and I'm thinking they're attacking me, and I'm just having fun, And but really, they're just caring, they're just loving, and they're just caring, but they just didn't know how. It was the drug controlling me at the time. It's just changed me. That's my family, and I'm not even caring for my family. I'm not even loving my family, and I'm more into the drugs and my friends than my family. So eventually, she just had to release, and just had to keep quiet. And all she did was thank God that she came to faith, and she just stopped praying, and then until the day that she lay down and rest. That's when it really hit me that before she died, she even wished that I just get my life sorted, and So basically, just showing love, and that's at the end I find that yes, she did love me, and that's really hit me, and then that's when I looking for Pete, and that's when I really put my hand up, say yeah, I need help, and that's when he can step in and help, or else no one can help me that time.
For me, well, my mum did do something right. At the start of my addiction, when I'd moved out of home, I'd want money for drugs, but I wouldn't ask my mum. I'd ask her for money for food, stuff like that. I'd lie to her. And pretty quickly my mum realised, and she wouldn't give me money. She'd buy me food, give me food, but she'd done the right thing. She started taking things away from me. To the point where she eventually started pushing me away. She said she wanted nothing to do with me, and now I'm in Shalom. I didn't want to lose my mum. So.
The same thing is with me, my father, but my mother loved me. She wanted me in the house. She wanted me to stay safe and everything, but my father said, get out, just get out. I don't want nothing to do with you. He just didn't respect me. And that's what I really needed. The book says it all, tough love. If you really love them, man, you just kick them out there, leave them to the consequences of their actions. Right? That's what happens. We learn, like Peter says, you got a hot plate. You touch the hot plate, you burn yourself. You know not to touch it again. Right? That's the same with them. If they do something wrong, chuck them out there, let them learn from their actions, and then they'll learn. They'll be like, oh, I shouldn't do that ever again. Right? That's what happened with me. My father did that. My mother listened. Right? And here I am in Shalom. I'm back on my feet, and I'm back and I'm fighting. But,
I've been drinking for 30 years, and I've always fueled my own habit with money. I've always supported my family, but I mean that's no excuse. And I never realised how much my addiction was affecting people around me, and especially like my kids. You know, and they ultimately are the ones that came to me and convinced me to come to Shalom. You know, I mean, my girls are 27, I'm 46. It should be the other way around, but, you know, I just wish when I was these guys' age, they're half my age, less than half my age, that I had someone as old as Pete and with his kind of knowledge that was around when I was that kind of age to, you know, with the type of program that he's got and, you know, the way he runs it that I could have gone to. But I wasn't aware of anything at that time. Maybe if there had been something like that, I might have been different. I don't know. But I'm here now, doing the right thing now, and my life's just completely changed. My girls are really, really happy. They're like, I can't believe the change in your dad. Like, it's amazing. You know, I got a birthday card from one of them last week saying, you've answered all my prayers, Dad. You know, everything she's ever prayed for was for me to not drink every day and become Christian and, you know, live a good life. Yeah.
Do any of you remember ever becoming violent when you were on the drugs and that, and the hurt that you were causing? Did you ever acknowledge that at all at any stage?
With part of the program, every person from methamphetamines, most people, if you're on meth, you will become violent. That's part of the drug. But you don't realise it until later on. When you take that chemical off and you take the blanket off, and all of a sudden everything starts settling down, it all starts coming to the surface. But most of the time you medicate it. But when you take that blanket off, the zits start coming up. And that's when we start dealing with anger. And our program actually does do that. We show them how to actually help their mum and their dad and their brother and their sister, and one by one we bring the family in, one by one, and we bring restoration. I'm going to get these fellas to sit down. Give them a hand, please. What we're going to do, right, we've got to have a vote because it said 9 o'clock and I don't want to hold yous, but I'm more than happy to go for another 20 minutes or as long as you want, but if we have to draw a cut-off time, I'm going to say 9:30. Who wants that to cut off at 9:30 or now? Hand up for now. Okay, 9:30. So we're going to go to 9:30 and then answer as many questions as you want. I just want to acknowledge we don't remember later two things. I just want to thank David Carr for actually using the initiative to actually bring this about. So I just want to say thank you for bringing us down here and actually leading the way and making a difference. We really do appreciate it. Oh, yeah. And the other thing, I just want to apologise to you and say I'm sorry for the cost of my book and that I've actually had to get it printed locally in Perth and it's $50. I know it's a bit rude, but I apologise, I don't mean it, but I have no other choice until I get a decent printer that's going to look after me on price and stuff. So I'm sorry it's going to cost you $50. I'm not trying to make money out of you. Okay, questions? It is Pete's cool. So I get a lot of Kiwis coming to the house that are on the same boat. But when you look, right, if I have 200 people or 400 people or 1,000 people, and I copy from the north, the south, the east and the west, and I can only focus on what I can change. I can only focus on those particular E's, and I've got to admit that I can't help everybody. I might not actually better help your family because I can't afford it. And if I do take them on, being 100% self-funded, doing what I do, running on the smell of an oily rag, as much as I want to, the reality are some are going to perish. The reality are some are going to die. The reality are some I just can't actually help. If I could and I had heaps of money, I'd gladly to give it away. I don't care about money. but I know where you're at, I know what you're going through, and I do get that often, where they're not on an income, they have no Centrelink unless they work. But again, it comes to a family like yourself's choice. If you actually follow this process that I show you how to bring a person to the knees, sometimes it's better off leaving that person out there that little bit longer to get them to the knees, and then when they get to that point, you've actually got to make a choice. Do I or don't I? Can I, can't I? Should I, shouldn't I? Do I mortgage my house, or do I expect Peter to mortgage his? Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, basically myself personally, financially, I'm going... You can't hit the government, because as soon as you hit the government, it's all these rules and regulations. They've written themselves in the corner. Even your local shire, I got this chick whose house burned down, right? And the house burnt down, and she rang the shire to get a container put, and this poor lady literally lost everything. And I sent over 40 men to clean this joint up, and she asked the shire to put a container just on the verge for 48 hours. And the person says, well, you've got to do this. If you get 6 60-kilo blocks, and you put one in each corner and one in the middle, if you get yourself a load-rated chain that can hold down 7.5 ton and go from this block to this block and go over the top, you can put those 7.5 ton sea container on those 60-kilo blocks, and you can have it there. But you've got to get an engineer's drawing and make sure it's signed off. That's what they said. You've got to get an engineer's drawing to make sure that 7.5 ton sea container has a chain going from a 60-kilo block to a 60-kilo block. And I want it signed off by an engineer. All of our policy and procedures of our day, I'm sorry, but they're pathetic. Common sense has gone out the window. Common sense has gone out the window. My experience with oh, you pushed me button. My experience with politicians the last 2 years, I've had lots of politicians. I had every member of government, and I have never seen such a schmozzle in all my life. I don't mean to be rude or disrespectful about the rules of our day, but the people that I had out at Shalom, the only time they come out there when the camera was there or the mic was stuck in their face, and they had no care in any way, shape or form. I sat on a council with a lot of influential people from a certain party, and I said, hey, this is what we're doing, it costs nobody nothing. And then they got up and they said, well, we're spending $2 million on 30 beds, 60 beds. We're spending $2.2 million, we're spending $1.6 million. And I said, hey, bro, I just said I'm doing that for free. And they didn't hear a word I said. Common sense has gone out the window. You can't hook, like if I want to plug into the government system, I'll shut my place down. Okay, it doesn't work. Even Shalom, if you see how we're set up, the WASG, I have 20 grand in this account, I have 40 grand in the Shalom's work account, the trust account is where all the fellas go into. I've got to run every week, all my rents come in on a Wednesday, and it takes the WASG account up to 38,000, and then 2 weeks later it goes back down to 20,000 and goes up to 38,000, and I've been operating like that for 4 years. And if it keeps hitting on the 20 grand mark, I know I've got myself a 20 bang buffer. But out of the rents in my places, I welcome any person to come over. All of my books, no flies can land on me in any way, shape or form. But trying to run what I'm running, I've got 71 fellas. 71, 13 properties, 16 vehicles, 22 staff. And most of my staff works for an accident. It's got all these different cogs, and it's just, You know, it's not about money, but it does work. But we've got to get the community to start coming up. I don't want your money. Government come out, what can we do for it? I don't want nothing from you. What do you mean? I don't want nothing from anybody. I don't want your money. We are a registered not-for-profit charity. We do stick things up on Facebook. If a person wants to give because they want to give, because they get prompted, I promise you, as God is my witness, I'll steward it wisely. I'll be accountable for every dollar. But if I build Shalom off my donations account, it's an unreliable income. So I just use the rents and set up like a well-oiled wheel. And this man's life is changed. Not because of me, but because of him. He made right choices. All I did was show him what he needed to do. I put the responsibility from A to Z all on his shoulders. And what happens is you see the stage ones. When I first started Shalom, I got the first house, 7 men, discipled them to a certain point, had to give them 20% control of their lives. That's true. So I went and got a second house, and I put 3 from that house, put 3 in that house, and another 3 come in and filled that one out. That's truth. And so then I'm discipling this mob, and I increased this from 2 days to 3 days, and all of a sudden, hang on, and now I've got to give him the keys to his car and his phone. And so then I had to get a third house. Then I take these 3 to put them there. By that time, these ones here went to here. And then I got this big bloomin' joint And then I moved on this property, and the truth, what is happening here, I better put an application into the Shire. So I put the application into the Shire, and as soon as I put the application in the Shire, some bloke in the thing, because we're in a pretty rich area, and some bloke, as soon as I put the application in the Shire, somebody in that council used delegated authority and just cancelled the application before it even went to public comment. I don't think you think it was going to get this, but when I put the application in, it's not until I sat down and looked, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, ooh, this is not bad. I got myself a program. I didn't mean to start a rehab. I honestly don't mean to start a rehab. I just want to disciple men to be men. Get this man the mic, please.
She got a mic.
Okay, you have to go next, sorry.
Okay. As a sister, I've had a real struggle with my mum and dad, seeing them prop my brother up, like you said, continue to give him money, pay for his mortgage, go and clean his house even. Like, I asked my father to come tonight. Sorry, I'm going through a bit of a nervous breakdown myself. And he didn't want to come. So how can I influence my parents when I can see that they're not letting him hit rock bottom? He gets very aggressive, he gets violent, and they get scared. They worry he's going to go and hurt himself or hurt someone else. He's been to jail, but it's out of their fear that they continue just to give in to him. And it's
Did what I say tonight make any sense? Did it make any sense to you?
Yeah, it's what I've been telling my mum and dad for quite a while now.
But it's coming from you. And so I get lots of families who are where you are, and I've got to go this through time and time again and say what I've just said to you. And I tell lots of families everything I've just told you, and a lot of families aren't actually where you're at. A lot of families are right back here, and a lot of that stuff hasn't actually happened yet. And so I spend the time telling them everything I've just told you, and all of a sudden as the dominoes start to fall, they think, Struth. I mean, some people will make a choice to do the right thing, and some, they just won't. But why are you making your parents' stuff your stuff? Why aren't you drawing a line in the sand and protect you got to focus on what you can change, not what you can't. And it is sad.
I suffer for my brother as well. I've, seen him suffer, and it burdens me. And I am a Christian.
But it's your choice for it to burden you. If you are a Christian, and please forgive me if any person here is not a Christian and you think I'm going to come across Christianese, but if you are a Christian, the Word of God is a lamp to your feet and a light to your path, and it's the application, the putting into practice of God's Word over and above what you see or what you think or what you feel or believe to be true in your heart. The Word of God must come first. And it says, do not spare the rod from your child. And as sad as it is to see the ground suck and swallow some of them, at the end of the day, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. The Word of God is a lamp to your feet and a light to your path. The Word of God.
It's the only thing that's kept me alive as well.
Yeah. The Bible says that cast every thought, every imagination. Thoughts are like wine. If you put a negative thought in your brain, where your mind goes, your body follows. Don't get pissed on your thoughts. Cast down every thought, every imagination. Take one day at a time. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Renew your mind. Renew your thinking. Like my fellows, when they come in, I renew their mind. I renew their thinking. I help them to renew the way they speak, the way they think, the way they respond. But I don't push what I believe them down the throat. I put choices before them. And they have a choice. And when they see all of a sudden, by making that right choice, it releases fruit. You know, and you need to get people positioned around it. And often, because of the stuff that's going in your brain, you're going to Martha. Martha tells you one thing, Fred tells you another, Ed tells you another, Jed tells you another. Somebody somewhere will tell you want to hear for you to do what you need to do. Plug in. Listen to the shopping trolley. And unfortunately, it's sad. You've got to take your hands off. I mean, it's your choice to make that your problem. It is your choice. Honestly, it's your choice to make that your problem. This dude here, where'd he go? Yeah. I do indeed. If you see my systems and structures at Shalom, my board man's gone. And you missed a bit on this other side up this corner here. All I do is disciple men to be men. I wouldn't be able to do what I do unless I did what I did. Hey, Fred. Rightio, so let's say Park Street. Park Street is actually one property. And if my thingamajiggy didn't go hoodoo, it would have been right. So this place is actually 3 properties. This one has 10. The 8, 10 has 2 units, which is 3 and 3. And this house here, I have a 1 IC, I have a 2 IC, and I have a 3 IC. If you see my Facebook postings, you'll see how we actually do our leaders meetings every Monday. Forest Street has 2 houses, has 26 fellas in it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Park Street 2, and then we have the stage 4 houses. And we're about to start another one. I think this one has 36, this one has 26, this one has 14, and these have a few. Now, what I do every morning on a Monday, I grab all my house leaders. I grab my main 1 ICs, so I have 3 of me, or 3 of me at the moment, and then each house of these has 3 ICs, a 1 IC, a 2 IC, or 3 IC. And I meet with all my 1 ICs and all my ones from all my properties, same as my work teams, same as my houses, and we find out what issues are happening in the house. I've delegated these 3 here to be the same as me, and they just walk around the house. They're untouchable, they're unapproachable. My fella's not allowed to actually approach them and stuff. Put it in a box, put it in a box, put it in a box. Now, everybody in the house needs to go to the 1 IC, but the 1 IC, his job is not to do the same. The 1 IC's job is to teach the 2 IC how to teach another person. And so we just have tiers. So these ones here don't actually do anything. They're teaching the 2s, where my 1s are teaching the 1s. Can you see what I mean? It's just discipleship. And I learned really early in the piece that if I put my stage 1s in this house, my stage 2s in this house, my stage 3s in this house, it's division. But if I put them all together, it builds momentum. The fellows who just come first in the house, the stage 3 weeker over there, sees what the stage 6 month one has, sees the one at the 9 months going to the gym, driving off the property phones and doing all this sort of stuff. I want what he has. And it's a natural flow of momentum. So when you come in the house, you go through the tunnel all yucky days. You got 1 hand forward, like this bloke's my shadow, and you have 1 hand behind. Discipleship, training men to be men. I do a men's group every Tuesday, 200 plus men. I just disciple men to be men. And my whole of my organisation, even my office, I have 22 staff in my office. We've set up communication points between each office. When we originally started, we started these 2 other houses. We end up to here. I grew that. That was full. Cut that in half. Made a good strain. If you've ever done hydroponics, it's a really good strain. I took a graft and I stuck a bit over here. Duplicate it. It's a lot to actually develop the culture. If you take a person from one culture and you put them into another culture, if you take a person from the society and put them in a prison, you're developing the culture. If you hang around a person who drinks, smokes or swears, you will drink, smoke or swear. So we've created the cultures within the house, and what we did is we took all our administration out, and now what we do is we have a resident care person. Arnie's one of our residential care people. Their job, and we have boxes at every house, their job, we have these different coloured slips for different things. They get put in the box. These 3 residential care come into the admin. All the coloured slips get put out on the staff desks. They all get met by the end of the day and they get sent back out into the houses. At the moment all these houses are full, but we've actually positioned ourselves to actually start rolling out rehabilitation centres across the state. 100% self-funded, and what we're asking from Shires, I had a meeting with the Mayor last week and we were trying to work out how we can do it and get around all these policies and procedures. But what we're asking from the Mayor is a 22-seater van, 14-seater van, 12-seater van. We want 52k, we want a wage for one person for a year, and we want a house for 1 year. If somebody within a shire can actually give us that for 1 year, within 1 year, I'll have that house 100% self-funded. And even that house there will easily cater for 16 men. That's, at the government's terms, they say it costs $100,000 per person. So there's $1.6 million that I'm saving the government. And all they do is give me a 12-seater car, a 52k wage for a year, and just give me a free house that can fit 16 fellas. And within 1 year, I'll have that place 100% self-funded, won't cost you a cent, and I can do it any shire, any city, anywhere. Do you understand? Wherever I can get it happening. At the moment I'm opening them, unfortunately, all illegally. And so what happens is, at the moment I'm in a bit of a pickle. This house is full. This house is full. This house is full. I've got beds in all my lounge rooms, and I get a bloke ringing me up, Peter, I feel like killing myself. I'm depressed. I don't know what to do. I'm serious. I'll do whatever it takes to change my life. So I'm giving orders to my staff as we speak. We're trying to frantically look for another house. But I don't willfully just go and open another house for the sake of opening another house. Because I am called by God to obey the laws of my land. Unless the laws of my land ask me to willfully sin, I must obey those laws. Now, when my houses are full and I'm put in a predicament, do I obey the laws of the land? Or do I let this man here die? I'm sorry, but I've got to actually help this man And I think that hopefully one day I'll stand before God and He won't tell me off. To the best of my ability, my conscience is clean. But the Bible says, Peter, just because your conscience is clean, bro, it doesn't mean you're okay. It's the Lord Himself who will judge on that day. One day I'm going to stand before God, and I'm going to have to give an account for every word that I've ever spoken, every thought that I've thought, and for every decision that I've ever made. I love God. I love God with every molecule, every fibre, every atom of my being. I know that He's real. I mean, a lot of Christian people are trying to communicate what they know to be true, and they think they're doing the right thing. In actual fact, they're doing the wrong thing, and they're causing more harm than good. But they're trying their best. How do we communicate what we know to be true without pushing religion down people's throat? We have no right to push what we believe down on anyone's throat. But if Christians would stand up and live their faith and be still and cease striving, then God would be God. God hasn't done this. Peter Lyndon-James, hasn't done Shalom House. I know that I actually haven't raised up 70 men. I know, and I've seen God over the last 4.5 years, we've only been going 4.5 years, that He hasn't done this because of me. He has done it in spite of me. And I watched Him do what I do. You haven't seen what I've seen through my eyes. He's real. Anybody else, any other questions? Blake up the back there, I don't think I've heard from you.
I just want to say a show of hands of the people here will be happy for our Shire to help Shalom House open here in Collie. Because we have 3 representatives from our Shire here at the moment.
I've been sitting with lots of mayors. Next week I've got the Chief Justice come out. I've got the Governor actually running around ringing every Tom, Dick and Harry to try and help us out. I've been meeting with lots and lots of influential people, but their intentions may be good, but they're bound by their little policies and procedures, unfortunately. And when they're bound, as soon as they try, you've got one group says yes, but you're going to have the other one, as soon as they hear the word rehabilitation, and you're going to have anti-groups, and you're not in my street. Why don't you take it out to Bullsbrook? It's like...
Call it life transformation.
Why don't you call it whatever you want? Call it Pete's Place. What's the difference? What's the difference? Who knows what the word shalom means? No. Yeah, religious mob. No. Google it. It means love in its purest form. Truth, honesty, integrity. And it's the fullness of everything that is perfect. That's what we're trying to teach our fellas. Be honest. If you stuff up, make a mistake, tell the truth. Hold your head up high. Stare the world straight in the face and cop the consequence on the chin. Learn from it. Truth, peace, shalom. Honesty, integrity, part of the solution, not part of the problem. Love your wife, lead by example. Stop bloody undressing other women when you're married. It's truth. Sorry. Another question? Okay, what we're going to do, we're definitely going to finish in 3 minutes.
Yeah, just a simple one.
You sound like Bert Newton.
I'll try not to. When people have a psychotic episode because of the meth, is it possible that they can't remember a thing about it after the event?
It is possible, but they do remember that they've actually done some no good. But a lot of them don't really care because they can't see what they've done was not okay. What you've got to do, you've got to send a clear message to any person caught in an addiction of what they're doing is not okay. You give them the first warning. You give them the second warning. But if they're coming into your house and they're smashing your house and they're being violent and they're making you actually fearful, you must get a restraining order. You must get a restraining order. It sends a clear message to their brain what they're doing is not okay. Oh, but I don't want to send them in jail. And by you doing nothing, they're going to keep doing what they shouldn't do. Yeah. You've got to do whatever you can to bring them to hit the wall. I've been on psychosis. I used to sit, I'm telling you, I used to do 2.5 kilos of methamphetamines a day. I used to give people 2 points, and I used to watch them chucking donuts on the floor screaming. I used to sit there, and I had this little camera thing, and I'd sit there with this pole, and I stuck 4 days in the shed looking at a little piece of screen. And when I was stuck in a roof cavity 3 days, I used to drive up and pull people out of cars because I thought they'd follow me. Little people, I called them. Little people. I was the president of the Loopers Club. I was bad. You ask my wife, when I sit in the passenger seat, and I say, woman, you touch that thing, I'm telling you, you're working for them. Yeah. Go on, who's next? Yeah, you meet my woman, I'm telling you, she's gorgeous. I mean, as a Christian, even as a Christian man, right, everyone thinks Christians have got it perfect. I got nuked in 2001. I'm going to tell me a story tomorrow morning. But I got nuked in 2001 where I had a full-on encounter. And I'm telling you, I had a full-on encounter. But even as a Christian man, after having that experience, I've stuffed up and I had a real bad day and I had this thought in my head and I said, yeah. I grabbed a hold of my keys, walked out of the house, went and rang this chick up, scored an 8 ball. As soon as I stuck that pick of my arm, I slept with this chick. Then I went to the knockers and I took on 2 more. And then I went for a 3-day bender. And when the drug wore off, I thought, oh my God, what have I done? As a Christian man. But before that time, I was the holier than thou. I used to be a prison chaplain, seeing blokes coming in out of the jail. I'd see him have an encounter with God. I'd see him fall on the ground. I'd see him and all this sort of stuff. And then 3 months later, they're back in jail again. You're a Christian. What are you doing in jail? Man, you got the Spirit of God in you. Mate, and then one day I did what they did. It humbled me now. I went up to my woman and I got on my knees and I held her hand. And I said, sweetie, I'm sorry. And I had to come alongside my wife as I watched the tears roll down her face. She's my princess. She's the jewel in my heart. Sweetie, I'm sorry. As a Christian man, I've slept with a prostitute. I've stuck a pick of my arm. I've done a lot of silly stuff. I really don't care what you think of me in any way, shape or form. He who's without sin, stand to your feet and cast the first stone. And when I stuffed up, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Truth, honesty. Hold your head up high, tell the truth. Mums and dads, yeah, played it with my sister. Doctors and nurses, fondled another boy's genitals growing up, been sexually abused, slept with prostitutes, broken houses, stole cars. That's me. Guilty, I'm sorry. I can't change the past, but I'm telling you what, I'm going to change the future. Amen. We're going to leave on that note, is that okay? I really do appreciate your time. And like I said, I really don't care what anybody thinks of me in any way, shape or form. I don't say that out of pride, out of pomp, out of arrogance, but I really don't care. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. As men, we have an obligation to stand up and lead your home. You have an obligation to stand up and lead your wife and your children. And how you do that is live by example. It's not okay to take cash and put it in your pocket. We're supposed to pay taxes. It's not okay to get caught up in porn. It's not okay to lie, gossip and steal. Oh, but you're religious. No, I'm not religious. It's just not okay. Tomorrow morning we're actually having a men's recce. We're going to flap at the gums and go to the heart of some stuff. And then I think on Sunday we're going to a 4 Square Gospel Church. Is anyone from that church here? And we're going to go flap at the gums there and shake them up a little bit. They won't be the same by the time I'm alive, I'm telling you. But again, I really do appreciate the fact that you'd actually get up here, or let me get up here and talk to you. I really do care about your families. I honestly really do care. That's why I do what I do. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. I really do care. I really do care. I spent 26 years of my life caught up in a world that I didn't want to be in. And I found a way out. I'm not a religious man. I'm a Christian. Every one of you in this place, no matter where you believe in faith, you're not just a fart in the wind. You are loved by God. You're called by name. This ain't about religion. If the Church of God was like Hungry Jack, should be chockers. How do you know which one's which? We actually take our fellows 3 church services every weekend. Anyone want to know why? 3. I thought you're not religious. Well, having 70 blokes, we don't have one program, we have 70 programs. We go to a Pentecostal one on Fridays where they go, and they fall on the ground. What are you doing down there, bro? Some of my fellows actually really like that sort of church. No, not for me. I'm one of them blokes who like to stand at the back. And then they got this other one, and it's like, their motto is 5,000 people over the course of the weekend. They say, the church for people who don't like church is one of them churches you can actually walk in and you're not going to get swamped with tea and coffee and a flag stuck in your head. Let him the Lord, a new person in the church. Let's mob him. There's like 5,000 people over the course of the weekend. You can just walk in and you just get left alone. You just get left alone. You just get none of this new person stuff. And you can walk in and you just watch and you can journey and ask questions and you can duck in and duck out. And on the Sunday we go one over in Mirrabooka and one in Kandoola and one in Armdale and one in Girraween and one in Rockingham and Baptist and Anglican and Protestant and Catholic and Methodist and Church of Christ and we just show them that the body of Christ was different. Some people have actually hurt by this mob and they put the whole church in the box, but they're not. They're different. Again, it's about truth, not pushing religion down them. Have a look, dude. Have a look. Ask questions. Oh, I better shut up. I'm getting sore. Hey, thanks very much for your time. I appreciate it.